Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. This is now episode 505, and we are virtual because we told you guys last episode that the studio is being remodeled. We will be in a brand new studio next time you see us, potentially. That is the plan. And we had some breaking news happen today, fellas, and we'll get into it. Micah Parsons getting traded to the Packers, but how are you guys doing today?
Dells, Riv, tell me, how was your guys' day? John, don't want to leave you out, even though,
we should leave John out.
Because
we started this podcast 25 minutes late because of John.
After long days, I get hungry, especially after heated debates. And that's why I need Factor. With over 80 plus rotating weekly meals, I don't ever run out of options. And it's simple. Poke holes into the plastic for ventilation and put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. Ooh, I'm excited. You'll see a meal fresh and steamy, begging to be devoured. Look at all that steamy deliciousness. Luckily for you, Pick a Side has got you covered. You head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code PASFB50 to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code PASFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year.
They tried to nerve me. I came back.
John said, dudes nerfed him. That shit killed me. Had a good day, man. Had a good day. I was in Patterson, registered for school, so I had to put my classes in, so I'm back for that.
Let's go.
Yeah, came home, did some laundry, and I'm ready for 2K, man. That's really all I give a fuck. 12 a.m. I will be on 2K with hella VC, and I'm excited about that.
Bro, you might be sick because I don't know if the game is going to allow you to play at midnight tonight.
Bro, please don't tell me.
Change your time zone.
Bro, I'm being genuine. I think it's like midday tomorrow.
Bro, that's dumb aggravating. Why? Like,
yeah, bro, I know. You bought the $100 edition?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, man. So
change
did
your
I.
time zone.
I think it's tomorrow. I mean, I guess you could do all that.
That's like mad work.
I'm pretty sure. Dude, it's probably like 4 buttons you got to click to get to your settings.
Say word.
I'm about to make sure I'm not chatting, but I'm pretty sure it's 12, bro.
I'll be honest. While you're doing that, Drew, look up how many buttons does it take to change. I will change the time. I swear to God.
There's no way it's more than like 7 clicks if you know where it is.
How you going to change?
Yeah,
You went from 4 to 7, bro.
No, it's fairly easy. John, how are you doing? You're smiling very big there on the camera, very stoic. You haven't moved
John
a muscle.
Is funny
I
as
just
hell,
moved one.
bro.
I'm doing great. Today was my first day of the fall semester in August. First time in my life I started school this early before Labor Day. But we've got an absolutely exciting topic to talk about, and it gives me something to root for after my Steelers get brutally eliminated in the wild card. So I'm looking forward to talking about Micah to the backers today.
Wild card?
No, bro. I
hope
would root for the team that beat me in the Super Bowl too. Hell yeah, man. Radical. That being said, 1 p.m. tomorrow, Riv. Devastating news.
All right, now I'm gonna look up this whole VPN change my time zone shit thing.
Riv, just set yourself to like New Zealand, bro.
That might
New
not even
Zealand?
work.
That's what I saw
1 p.m. is
someone
nuts,
say.
bro. I can't wait that long, bro. I got come on.
Don't you have work in the morning?
Nah, summer camp is over, so I'm off the whole
okay.
week. I'm thinking I come like tomorrow. I'll play tonight, wake up tomorrow, play all day.
Well, this is good, though. It's good that we're recording a podcast today because when we record today, this is going to be a lengthier episode because we're doing NFL standings predictions on top of reacting to Micah. Then tomorrow all day, you'll be able to play NBA 2K26.
This is going to be a lengthy episode.
Dude, I thought we were aiming for like an hour and a half.
Lengthier than expected. Lengthy,
This
more
is like
than the Micah topic that we were going to do. But talking about NBA 2K26, Splash Sports, if you enter one of our contests, you can win a free copy of NBA 2K26. We are giving out 5 copies of NBA 2K26. The console of your choosing or PC. If you're on PC, we're going to be giving those away because anybody who enters one of our contests is helping us out. So we want to try to do something to help you guys out as well and give you guys a chance to win some prizes. And on Splash Sports right now, we have 3 contests live. We have our NFL Pick'em contest, which every week you're going to make your NFL picks, and that right now is free to play. So You don't have to spend no money. You can go there. You can join it. It's free to play. You can either join through Splash Sports website or the App Store, either one of those two. And then we have NFL Survivor Pool. You have to pick one team. You can only pick them once. And it's a $10 entry. And that's what I'm really excited about. Really the paid contest, because I like to compete. I like to compete for something. And I like to compete for money. So when you join one of our contests, NFL Survivor, and then the one and done as well, which is you pick 5 players per week, and depending on if they get the most fantasy points, you win for that week, but you can't pick the same 5 players every single week. So those are the contests that we have going on there. And yes, you can potentially win NBA 2K26 if you join one of those contests. Splash Sports is our sponsor for the NFL season, so you'll be hearing about them a lot throughout this year. Hey, fellas, do you guys want to continue the small talk? Or you want to talk major?
Hop into it, man.
You want to talk about big boss moves?
Dallas,
Talk dirty
everywhere
to
it's
me. I'm
1
ready.
o'clock, bro. Everywhere it's 1 o'clock, bro. It's over.
It's a shame.
It's fucking
It's a shame.
I need Riv to lock in here because I know the moment the news hit him, a little nerve struck his heart. It pierced him. Because there go those Green Bay Packers that he was not worried about. Out of sight, out of mind. And I told him, Micah's getting traded to Green Bay. You better watch it. You better put some respect on Jordan Love, on Matt LaFleur and company. And
5 in the division.
let's just start with the facts. 4 years, $188 million from Micah Parsons. First in
47
pressure
million.
rate since 2021. Micah Parsons became the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Well deserved. But here's some facts for you. Brett Favre had Reggie White. He won a Super Bowl in his 6th season. Aaron Rodgers had Charles Woodson. He won a Super Bowl in his 6th season. Jordan Love got Micah Parsons. What is he entering right now? His 6th NFL season. The Green Bay Packers are going to represent the NFC, and they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. That is my Super Bowl pick.
Here we go. Year 3.
The pass rush is now not a problem. And then Matthew Golden will fix their receiver issues because he is a star. You can't have the last name Golden and not be a star. He is a star.
Look at his number.
Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. History repeats itself 3 times the charm. And those are the facts.
It would be
You're
pretty
forgetting a lot of
amazing. Riv,
You're
it would
forgetting
be
a lot of
amazing.
facts. No, he's forgetting a lot of facts. 1 and 5 in the division last year. That's a fact. Lions practically have won a division 2 years in a row. That's
Not
a fact.
That happened.
Didn't beat the Eagles at all last year. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
He forgot facts that actually matter. You know, those important facts. Just talking about the trade, I think it was a big move. I think Green Bay needed to do it. You needed to hit on a big time star, and I think that was important. You know, only giving up Kenny Clark, 2 first-round picks. We'll talk about Dallas later because that's going to be a funny conversation. But them trading away Micah Parsons, who's arguably the best defensive player in football, was just idiotic. You paid CeeDee Lamb and Dak, guys who are older than Micah, but you won't pay your star defensive player, the only player that keeps you afloat on that side of the football. Very, very odd. Green Bay gave him that money in a heartbeat. And for Green Bay, it just gets them into those conversations with these other teams like Detroit, like the Rams, if Stafford is healthy, like Philadelphia. I do think, Joel keeps promoting this. I was nervous. I actually didn't move a finger. I didn't feel anything when the trade happened. I just was like, oh, okay, good move for Green Bay, because I don't think their problem was defense. I think the problem was they scored 10 points against us in a playoff game. 10 points. 10 points. Michael Parsons can't score.
The problem,
unless he gets the strip sack, I don't think he's going to be able to score.
Excuse me, Riv. The problem wasn't Jalen Hurts standing.
The problem was,
I'm just saying, Riv. Did you not see the playoff game when Jalen Hurts had 20 seconds in the pocket and nobody was even near him? So you're telling me the pass rush is not a problem? That's what you're trying to tell me? The Packers didn't have a pass rush problem?
I can answer this, or are you gonna cut me off?
You can answer this.
Okay,
let's go.
We've played Micah Parsons over the last 2 or 3 seasons. For the most part, Lane Johnson has kept him in check. Of course, obviously, we have other guys. He gets doubled. He's that type of talent. We have the best offensive line in football. being as if we do have the best offensive line in football. We have damn near 3 All-Pros on the line, 4 Pro Bowlers. I'm not worried about nothing they have over there in Green Bay. Micah Parsons is a great talent. But in terms of guys like Rashawn Gary and stuff like that, I'm not moved. The problem on Green Bay against us will be who's going to be the wide receivers. You mentioned Marquise Golden. I think he's going to be a great talent. We have something called Guantanamo Bay over here where wide receivers have a hard time getting the ball over here. If you want, you can ask your boy Scary Terry in the playoff game. But for the most part, I'm not worried about Green Bay. You got to get past your division first. You won 1 game, and it was against the Chicago Bears last year. The Chicago Bears, you didn't beat Minnesota. You didn't beat Detroit. You actually didn't beat us either. So you didn't really beat anybody of upper echelon outside of the Rams early in the year. So figure that part out first, and then we can talk about NFC Championship games. Something you haven't been to in a while. A Super Bowl, something you haven't been to in a while. We'll get to that conversation first, but to get there, you have to climb certain steps. And Micah Parsons is a great stepping stone, but you didn't get there yet. There's levels to this.
This is so insanely disrespectful. You not only didn't get Matthew Golden's name right, you called him Marquise.
Marquise Golden.
That's number one. You disrespected Matthew Golden that you called Marquise Golden. You disrespected You disrespected Xavier McKinney, who's arguably the best safety in football, and you disrespected the Green Bay Packers. Maybe last year they won 11 games despite not beating upper echelon teams, but in 2023 they beat the Lions on Thanksgiving. They beat the Chiefs in primetime. They beat the Vikings in a must-win game. They beat the Bears, who were the first ranked defense EPA per play wise in the second half of the season.
That's the Lions just lose to the Commanders in the playoffs.
Oh, so now they're not that. Okay. And here's the thing.
There's a level. There's just levels.
You and I both know the Packers became tier 1 contenders with this move. They became an upper echelon NFC team, and it is a team that you gotta be staying awake up at night. Watch when they're coming. You do know
I don't think you know what a tier 1 team looks like, because you had us. You were calling us not serious early in the year and saying the Cowboys and the Bengals were better than us. So you don't even know what a tier 1 team. You don't even know what a tier 1 team really looks like.
You weren't serious in the beginning of the year.
You said
Kirk
last
Cousins
summer
drove you down the field.
You said last summer Green Bay was winning the Super Bowl then. You don't know what tier 1 teams really look like. You don't know what that conversation is. So I get it. Micah's there. Golden's there. You still believe in Jaden Reed. Josh Jacobs is really good. Xavier McKinney was all pro. The sky is really high for Green Bay, but like I said before, these are facts. 1-5 in the division last year. Detroit's still hanging around. The Rams, you have to worry about them if Matthew Stafford is healthy. I think these are teams that are still going to be in front of the Green Bay Packers. To get to us, to talk to me, to get to where we at, you got to get past those stepping stones. This is a good first step, I'd say, though.
Man, let me tell you something, Riv. Joel may have been wrong to you last year, but to be quite honest, what it sounds like is that he was just early. And there's a couple of stats they use, and I think it's important to give some context and stay at this NFC North, because you not only have the Lions, who are the number 1 seed, the number 1 team in this division last year, lose both their coordinators, but 2 awesome players in the line. The Vikings have a first-year quarterback, and this Packer team last year won 11 games, but Jordan Love playing through injury all year long.
Detroit lost their whole defense and won the division.
And a lot of those players like Aleem McNeil aren't going to be back until November. Aiden Hutchinson's coming back off a pretty serious injury. He's going to have to work his way back, and we don't know exactly if he's going to be 100%. But when we talk about this Packer team, top 10 offense last year, while they're all wide receivers, led the league in drops collectively. Jordan Love was healthy at no point in the season. Now, he did have that thumb procedure, but he seems like he's going to be ready to go week 1. And then on top of that, their defense last year was top 10. When you look at this starting lineup, beyond Micah Parsons, every single player with the exception of Rashawn Gary and Xavier McKinney are 26 or under. And this was a top 10 unit last year, top 5 in EPA. And this was with a first-year defensive coordinator. You saw Jeff Hafley come in and completely turn around their defense. They added Micah Parsons. And like you said a week ago on the podcast, when we were talking about the Packers and our tier 2 teams, they would be a tier 1 team if they made a big splash. And I think that's Micah. They did it today. I think this is a type of move that easily catapults them into that firm tier A conversation and the biggest contender to knocking off that Eagle team that has had an awesome Super Bowl run. So I think there's definitely something for this Packer team to prove, especially in the skill position player department. But that being said, like Joel, I really firmly agree with Joel here. I think this is you got to respect, because if you don't, this defense and this offense, as it comes together, it's going to be one that could take flight.
I've never disrespected the Green Bay Packers defense. I've never did that. My whole problem
you
is
just
they
told us what they've
scored.
done.
They scored 10 points in a playoff game.
What about the 29 in the first game of the season?
Yeah, we could bring that up. They scored 29 points in that game. Lost.
In the
Then they
playoff
win. They
game,
scored
Christian
10 points.
Watson
Lost.
was hurt. One of the best receivers last year who stretched the field vertically.
You got to pick a side
had a
on Christian
plethora of-
Watson, brother.
Christian Watson is
Christian
an
Watson.
awesome
We don't
vertical
know.
field
He's always
stretcher.
hurt.
He's
always hurt.
He's always hurt.
To be
Seems
fair
like
to
he's
him,
coming back from the
unfortunately.
playoffs.
So many
this offense
injuries
is
for
relying
the
on Christian
Packers
Watson,
team.
brother. Good luck.
Hey,
There's
if
so
Micah
many
Parsons
injuries
will
for the
score for
Packers.
y'all, he could play fullback. Maybe he could get some points for y'all. You know,
Well, you know how he could score for the Packers? He could score
How?
by getting to the quarterback, forcing a strip sack, and taking that bad boy to the house. That's how he can affect the game. That's how good he is.
Oh, okay. Well, he can. I don't dispute that. He can probably do that. I just gotta win your division first. Worry about that.
They will.
Worry about
step
that
one.
first.
That's what I'm
That's
interested.
step
That's step one.
I'm interested. We're gonna do our NFC North predictions, but this is probably a preview of it regardless. I mean, Drew, did you change your pick at all, knowing that Micah went to Green Bay Packers?
No, it's an amazing move for Green Bay. Do not get me wrong. I wish it was the Broncos desperately. It's exactly what I thought. 2 firsts and a game-changer defensive player. Kenny Clark's good. I think that Nick Benito's better. Hey, it is what it is. Shout out to Green Bay for getting the deal done. This definitely moves the needle for me. I give them the spot over Minnesota. No, I do not put them the spot at the top because that does belong to the Detroit Lions. John, I can respect where you're coming from about Aleem McNeil. That is going to be a guy that they get later on in the season. But Aiden Hutchinson's ready to go. And as long as he's on that football field, I trust what he's going to provide for that Detroit Lions defense. And Riv, you said it best. That defense, after they lost 6 starters, still played at a high level. Glenn was a big reason for that. Unfortunately, he now coaches the New York Jets. But regardless, you get healthier with the Detroit Lions defense. You still have a bunch of game changers on the offensive side of the ball. I still believe in the ceiling that is the Detroit Lions. Now, do not get me wrong. This raised the floor immensely for Green Bay. Micah Parsons is one of the 3, at worst, 5 best defenders in all of football. He is a game changer. He is one of the best at getting to the quarterback. But I'm still going to pump the brakes on Green Bay and propping them up to be title contenders, Super Bowl favorites. Let's relax because Riv is 100% right. At the end of the day, this is a team that's offense struggled to put up points come playoff time. Against the Eagles, that is what lagged behind. Their defense played the part. Unfortunately, their offense couldn't because they didn't have the weapons. We know what we're getting from Micah. We're not 100% positive what we're getting out of Matthew Golden, and albeit I do believe he will be a difference maker for them. We have to wait and see from the rest of the supporting guys. Jaden Reed was disappointing last year. Dontavian Wicks couldn't catch a cold. This wasn't an offense that was prolific when it came to the wide receiver position. Josh Jacobs is going to be incredible, but I still need to see what's up with these wide receivers before I move them to that top spot. But as of right now, you got to show some love to Green Bay.
Hey, before Dels, real quick, just before you go, just had to look it up real quick. When the fourth quarter started, we was up 16-3 in the playoff game. 16-3.
It was a great showing from the Eagles, and here's what I'll say to that. I think that it is, number one, the Eagles defense got worse by losing Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. Even though I believe in the players, they can step up. I don't know if they're going to be that level of player right away. You still have a hole at a boundary corner that now that Slay has left. And I understand what Drew is saying. Matched up against Philadelphia, that's a tough matchup. Patrick Mahomes struggled against them in the Super Bowl. That defense was legit. It's one of the all-time defensive units in history. That's how statistically great they were. But I don't have no questions about the Packers putting up points on the Rams or the Commanders or the Bucks or the Lions or any other team in the NFC. The Eagles defense is the only defense that, it's going to be a dogfight slugfest. But any other team, the Packers will put up points on them.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the Packers. I think when you're comparing them to the Eagles, it's hard to, off this move alone, say they're on their level or definitely above them. But they do feel much more in line now with the second tier of the NFC contenders, right? When you're talking about the Rams, the Lions, the Vikings, if you believe in J.J. McCarthy, they feel like they're comfortably in that spot. And even before the Micah trade, they felt like, they were creeping up there, but they were missing, key pieces, I think, on both sides of the ball. Their defense last year was interesting because we keep referring to it as a top 10 unit, and EPA numbers, they were a top 4, top 5 unit. but they relied heavily on turnovers and these big plays, right? They were top 5 in turnovers. They were 21st in success rate. This was a defense last year that allowed offenses to move the ball against them, right? Typically, when you see teams top 5 in EPA, they're at least top 10 in success rate, right? There's usually some correlation there. But for the Packers, that wasn't the case. They relied a lot on turnovers. And part of the reason was because their pass rush, right? They had one of the worst 5 to 10 worst pass rushes in the NFL amongst all the contenders, one of the worst pass rushers in the NFL. If we're talking about just playoff teams. So getting Micah Parsons is huge and definitely puts them on a playing field that makes it more plausible that they can make a legit playoff run. I'm still a bit concerned about a true number one option on offense, because what the Packers showed us last year was a bit of a change in identity, right? When you got Josh Jacobs, this became a team that, in part due to Jordan Love's injury, really relied on running the ball. And that was their identity. They relied on Josh Jacobs and him becoming a workhorse, and were really a run first team. And I still think that's what their identity is going to be at the end of the day. Like, Jordan Love is going to have a great year. I think he's a borderline top 10 quarterback. He could have games where he goes out there and he outplays Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, all of these NFC level quarterbacks. I have no doubt about that. But just like we've talked about, plenty of other contenders in the past, whether it's the Ravens or the Bills or whoever else you might be, when it comes down to it and it's a 3rd and 10, who are you relying on to win one-on-one? And that's still the one area that I think the Packers lack. I know they led the league in drops last year. It wouldn't surprise me if they led the league in drops again, right? Dontavian Wicks is still on this team. Jaden Reed is dealing with the Jones fracture. He's not going to be 100% by week 1. And you're really relying on Matthew Golden to step in and produce right away. And I thought he was a good prospect. I didn't think he was this can't miss prospect. Of course, he's taken late in the first round. He wasn't, hyped up to be that. But I don't know if he's somebody that's going to come in and really demand wide receiver 1 attention or wide receiver 1 looks from this offense. So when I look at the unit as a whole, it still feels like it's a tier below basically the Rams of the world, the Eagles of the world, even the Cowboys of the world, who we'll talk about later, but those kind of playoff level of teams. So without a doubt, they got better, right? Getting Micah Parsons, you got, one of the best defenders in the world, like you guys all said. But the one area I'm still concerned with is just those pass catchers. Is there going to be a breakout? They've been waiting for a year in and year out, right? Christian Watson can't stay healthy. Jaden Reed has been used more as a gadget player, even though he statistically has been their best receiver. Dontavian Wicks, Matthew Golden, Tucker Kraft, all guys that have shown potential and shown flashes, but haven't really gained the trust, I think, of the coaching staff or Jordan Love to be like the go-to guy. That's my only concern about Green Bay, but we'll talk about it later. They definitely took a bit of a tier jump. Like, they, to me, feel like it is neck and neck with them in Detroit, and Detroit having so much turnover with offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, as well as the offensive line. It really feels like this is a year that the Packers can compete and win this division.
Well, I have no doubt in my mind Dontavian Wicks will be better this year.
Yeah. Yo, Joel, guess how many interceptions Jordan Love threw that game?
3.
Playoff game. Yeah, 3 interceptions.
The last one was just a prayer down the field near the end of the game.
He does that a lot.
In my opinion.
You hate to
Dontavian Wicks will be better. And
Mm-hmm.
I think what Dale's mentioning, he mentioned some good points. I think the defense regressing was a concern before the Micah trade. Now that they got Micah, I don't have no concerns about the defense. The defense is locked and loaded. And I think their corner room, which has been questioned, I think they're going to be fine. Jair Alexander didn't even play 5 games for them last year. And Nate Hobbs, who is durable and is going to play the entire season, and he's physical and versatile. I think their defense is going to be better this year. Their offense, you're right. A lot of unproven guys at wide receiver, a lot of players with some drop problems. But I think a big part of their high run rate was that Jordan Love was hurt and Matt LaFleur was trying to protect his quarterback. I'd be very surprised if they're not throwing the ball more this upcoming season. And I think all those guys will take a step up. And I do think Golden strikes fear into defenses with his speed. I do.
I think genuinely, Joel, this is one thing I can definitely 100% say I agree with you in what you said. It's that the Micah thing creates an elite floor for Green Bay. Because you mentioned it, like, this team relied heavily on getting a lot of turnovers, and they have some talent on the defensive side, but that secondary was getting a ton of turnovers and stuff like that. But with Micah on that defensive line, it creates a safe and foundational floor for this defense where they're probably going to be a top 10 unit. I think probably towards the back end in success rate, they'll be able to be more consistent on a down-to-down basis. But it's just that offense, like Dell's mentioned, like 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 9, like 3rd and 8. Who you give the ball to? Even 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, when they play man coverage, like who's going to be a guy that can, get over on a top corner? I don't think they have that type of talent. And I don't want to just put them over Detroit. Detroit was one of the most effective offenses in football last year, and they're essentially bringing everybody back. Jameson Williams is better. Amon-Ra St. Brown, they still have their running back duo. Obviously, they lose their coordinators, but the talent is still there in terms of Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson, Sam Laporta. The talent is still they still have an overwhelming talent on offense as opposed to Green Bay. Obviously, the defense took a hit in terms of just injuries and stuff like that. But I feel like them getting Micah, putting him in that tier with those other teams like Minnesota, like Green Bay, I think that's fine because I think Micah is an elite player, best defensive player in the world, like I mentioned. Just that offense leaves a lot to be desired, I'll say, outside of the run game to a degree.
Well, outside of the Green Bay stuff, the Dallas was the team that sent Micah to Green Bay. And the compensation, I was waiting for it at first, and then it came out. And I was very underwhelmed. Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. It feels like the Packers got an absolute steal, and it leaves you wondering why the Cowboys traded Micah. And Drew, you said that you believe Dallas was going to trade Micah because although they have bluffed in the past, this felt different. So speak on that.
I mean, it seemed like Micah was fed up. It was very evident. You're not laying on a sideline without a uniform, completely dejected from the game. One, that's unprofessional as it gets, but it just seemed as if Micah's the type of guy to say what he means and not try and go back on his word. And I'm not surprised that this move happened. I think I am more surprised at the destination. I'm not surprised at the compensation in terms of not Micah immediately getting the payday, immediately becoming the highest paid defender in all of football, the highest paid non-quarterback in all of football as well, a mega contract. I'm not surprised at that after the move, but Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones, it was evident the two had completely lost their relationship with one another. Jerry had been way too vocal in the press for my liking as well. That's not how you treat a star player. And he went through this with Dak. He went through this with CeeDee Lamb, and the two of them were a little bit more lenient and willing to let Jerry get away with and say whatever he wants. That has never been Micah. Micah has been vocal. From the minute he has stepped into the National Football League, he has been one of the more vocal athletes we have in this sport. And if he says something, I'm going to believe what he says. And I'm not surprised that today happened. I'm surprised at the destination, although there were rumors that the Packers were favored to get him. I didn't see a trade I didn't see a trade in conference happening. I thought if he were to be traded, it would be to the AFC where he does not have to hurt the Cowboys whatsoever. But the compensation's not enough for a guy like Micah Parsons, 2 firsts and a defensive player. That does not move the needle. I get that the contract's the big reason why Micah Parsons is not a Dallas Cowboy right now. But very simply, you don't trade a player the caliber of Micah Parsons, let alone a player that's going into the last year of his rookie deal. You knew you had to pay him. Mike is a game changer. Without him, the Dallas Cowboys are looking like a bottom 5 defense, and that's just the reality.
Yeah, Jerry Jones has become kind of the laughing stock of the NFL. Took a while to pay Dak when you could have paid him early. Took a while to pay CD when you could have paid CD early. And then now you've just completely botched this whole Micah Parsons things, not to mention, like you said, Drew, completely disrespecting your star players in the media, in public. And this is kind of the big 3 for your franchise. You have Dak, the quarterback, CD, the wide receiver, and Micah, the defensive player. And Micah being the youngest of the 3 and him being traded kind of throws you off for a limbo because he's the only guy holding that defense up. Kenny Clark is coming off his worst statistical season last year with Green Bay. And like you mentioned, Drew, I don't care if he was on his last year or whatever. You still should. Best defensive player in the world. Got to get more. Or trade him. You trade him to your rival. Like Dallas and Green Bay have been in some dogfights, and you kind of trade him to a team that you're going to see more often than not. An AFC destination would have looked good. For Dallas, it's just, where do you go from here? I mean, now the defense is probably going to be a joke, or they're definitely going to drop off because I feel like Micah kept this defense at a safe floor. You know, that secondary room is coming off of injuries from Diggs, Deron Bland. You know, they still can't stop the run. And offensively, it's going to be electric because, you know, you have pick and draft CeeDee Lamb, but you have no run game. This just makes Dallas feels less and less like their playoff hopes is down the drain. The direction is seamless. You don't know where they're going to go with it. And Jerry Jones has completely just, you know, this is America's team. It's been America's team for our lifetime, but every year it feels like the joke just keeps getting funnier and funnier and funnier. And now this shit not even funny no more. It's just like, what are you doing at this point?
No, you don't want to be the team that trades Micah Parsons. And this move, like you highlighted, Drew, all of the comments that Jerry's taken in the media were unwarranted. And it feels like Jerry Jones is the type of person that feels like it's a movie that's featuring him as the star, but you're not as the owner and kind of co-decision maker for the Dallas Cowboys. You're the one that's put the best product in the field. And looking at the risk of trading Micah, to me, far outweighs the potential reward of hitting on those 2 late first-round picks. I thought Rashawn Gary is going to be included in this move. The Packers keep him. And then you have this young nucleus of playmakers in Dallas where I feel like what Micah can do in that youth, in that type of situation, it's going to far exceed his impact. And Dallas, he was the one holding that defense together. So for the Cowboys, this is, to me, one of the worst decisions Jerry Jones has made. And given that this team has just consistently been with Dak's healthy, a wild card team that can't get over the hump, I don't see it being any different. And when you look at the NFC East, it just fortifies even more that the Commanders are the better team.
Yeah, maybe
you learn a lot about a team, and I think about a GM from other people and like other organizations. What Eagles fans, and I'm sure a lot of other teams in the NFC and the NFC East, think about the Cowboys and think of Jerry Jones. They look at him and say, I hope you stay the GM forever. I hope Stephen Jones doesn't take over this team anytime soon, because we have seen time and time again, or more likely than not, because Jerry Jones has made some good moves. He has made some good draft picks. I don't want to sit here and just be like, he's just always making terrible moves. But more often than not, it feels like he doesn't quite understand the value of players, right? When even you go back and think of like the Amari Cooper trade that everyone talks about, you know, multiple years ago when he traded him to the Browns, when Amari Cooper was still like a top 15 receiver for a 5th round pick. And you wait to pay Dak Prescott until the day before the season, and you're paying him $60 million a season. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb and now Micah Parsons. It's just, there's certain GMs, Howie Roseman, for example, that get ahead of things, right? And can find value and find margins that help you build your team and help you, you know, accumulate depth and draft picks and compensation draft picks down the line, because you're able to get all these good players and they leave. Dallas has not been able to really win in the margins much, right? Like, they're able to get these big home runs. They're able to find a Micah Parsons and a CeeDee Lamb, but they struggle at times to find some of those singles where like they just find some good depth pieces and find guys to replace others in other spots. And of course, you know, they've gone to right at quarterback, right? They went from Tony Romo to Dak Prescott, and they did great there. And, you know, they've been good at wide receiver year after year, right? Whether it's Amari Cooper, they've always had good wide receiver cores, and now it's CeeDee Lamb. But what this really shows you is Jerry still feels out of touch, right? He went on his press conference after the fact and said, and explicitly, like, we have to be better at stopping the run. And I don't know what Micah Parsons has to do with that. Like, I know he's a pass rusher, he's an edge rusher, sure. But I mean, even if Micah Parsons was the worst run defender in the NFL, which he's not, that there's no reason why that should be the main reason why you go and trade Micah Parsons. It just doesn't make sense. And then he goes on to say, you know, hopefully those first round picks, we could find some all-pro players, some Pro Bowl level players. You have one. You don't have just a Pro Bowler. You have an all-pro year in and year out player that when he is on the field, he is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So it just feels like Jerry's out of touch. And this isn't new, right? This is something we've known for multiple years now. But it felt like after the George Pickens trade, I was like, you know what? That's a good move, Jerry. Like, this is someone who has a lot of potential. You know, you traded a day 2 or day 3 draft pick for him. He doesn't have to get paid for another season, right? That felt like a decent move for the Cowboys. Like, maybe he's starting to figure some things out. But after all of these comments, he's saying the drama that goes on with the Dallas Cowboys. He even said in the documentary that he has on Netflix, like, I want this to be a soap opera year round. That's not how I want my organization to be run. I want my organization to be quiet. I don't want anything to be leaked out. I want them to sign guys ahead of time before they have to make $60 million, the number 1 paid quarterback in the NFL. I don't want them to be on headlines on ESPN every single morning. And that's more or less what Dallas has been for the majority of our lives.
It's a complete joke what happened with the Dallas Cowboys and this Micah Parsons trade. The city of Dallas has lost Luka Doncic and Micah Parsons in the same year. Thank God they have Cooper Flagg and Paige Beckers, because that's what's keeping Dallas sports afloat and some hope, at least in the city. I don't know why Jerry Jones feels the need to create problems that aren't problems. When he traded Amari Cooper, he created a wide receiver problem opposite of CeeDee Lamb. And it just has been until recently where they brought in a receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb as good as George Pickens. And then edge rusher. You trade Micah Parsons, and now you have a glaring hole at edge rusher. Right now, they have Marshawn Nealand, Dante Fowler, and James Houston as their main edge rushers. I mean, that's the weakest edge rusher room in the NFL. Creating problems that you don't need to create, and this is just what the Dallas Cowboys are. Jerry Jones' stubbornness has been at the forefront of the organization making decisions. It's a big reason why the last 4 head coaches have been Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, Jason Garrett, and then Wade Phillips. And Jason Garrett overstayed his welcome by a wide margin. It's a big reason why he was late to pay Zeke. He was late to pay Dak. He was late to pay Zach Martin. He was late to pay CeeDee Lamb. And now they all got record-setting contracts because the Cowboys are always a year too late to things. They're not a well-run organization. And I think it's kind of sad because I think the Cowboys should be one of the best organizations in football. I don't think we should be questioning the legitimacy of how well run the Cowboys are, because this is a historic franchise. And I think the only difference between them and the Raiders is that they have been lucky enough to find quarterbacks. That's really the only thing. But in terms of management, the Cowboys are bottom barrel. They don't manage the team well. And I think it is in large part to what you said, Dels, is that Jerry Jones is constantly trying to be in the headlines and trying to create a circus out of things that he doesn't need to. And Micah Parsons, he's going to go down as an all-time great defender of this era. There's no doubt about it. Trading him, especially for the competition they got, Kenny Clark was coming off his worst season last year. And I know he was injured. He had a foot injury after week 1 when they played in Brazil. I know that. But he's also a 30-year-old defensive lineman. And after 30, football players' production tends to be very sporadic. So in saying that, you really got 2 first-round picks, late first, if the Packers are really good. And let's be real. Are they going to find somebody the caliber of Micah? Probably not. They're not.
Tough look.
Cowboys seem to find replacements. You're not going to find a Micah replacement. That's going to be pretty hard.
They semi know how to draft. Semi.
They know how to draft. If one thing you can't take away from Jerry,
For the most part.
he can kind of hit.
This shit hilarious. I love this. Yo, who's Miles?
Miles Johnson.
MJ. We're talking about
MJ.
Yo, I assumed his name was Michael. I assumed his name was Michael. Did not think it was Miles, bro. That's crazy. Michael
That's
Jordan.
crazy.
Yeah, he posted on his Instagram, "Live Forever." There's a picture of Jerry Jones.
His name on his profile is Miles Johnson.
Yeah, it's
Oh shit, bro.
Michael. Okay, so we're gonna get into the NFC predictions, and I think we should stay home right here. With the NFC East, did this change your mind on where the Cowboys are finishing? I know Drew had them finishing 4th with the Giants ahead of them. And I might piggyback on that prediction because I think it is Eagles 1, Commanders 2, the Giants 3, no Micah, Cowboys 4.
Yeah,
that Giants schedule is tough. It's
brutal.
a nasty schedule. They have like a 8-9 week stretch of straight good team, great team, good team, great team, great team, good team. Like it's really tough. I think I'll still have I'll put Washington at number 2. I think Philly's 1, Washington is 2. Dallas is at 3, and I'll put Giants at 4. If they had a lighter schedule, I can see the flip. It's just with the Giants' schedule being so tough, you still have Russell Wilson as quarterback. I think their defense is going to keep them in some games, but I think that offense, Russell Wilson, I'm not really a fan of. Malik Neighbors, though, shout out to him. I just think Dak and them boys can win more games than the Giants, so I still have the Giants at 4.
Mm-hmm. That's valid. I would not be the least bit shocked if the Giants won just as, if not more, games than the Cowboys. But largely it comes down to their offensive line keeping Russ upright, and that's with Andrew Thomas staying healthy. So I think my division going to look very similar. My prediction's going to look very similar with the Giants 4. Cowboys to me feel like a 7-win team because their offense is going to be good, not great. And I think this defense is going to be one of the 5 worst in football. And then number 2, of course, I'm the Commanders.
Still about the Cowboys. Still about the Cowboys.
Number 1, I have the Eagles.
So it's not similar, it's the same.
It's the same, exactly. Actually, there's only so many ways you could chop this up. You know what I mean? But no, I mean this division is clearly like it's there's two tiers, right? Like you have two contenders.
He's not
teams.
a nice guy. I'm starting to realize it.
He's not a nice
guy.
Sorry. Was that
He's
rude?
an asshole, bro.
He's not a nice guy.
John, my apologies if that came off rude. It's just the truth. It's the truth. But no, this division is two tiers, right? Like you got two contenders, you got two playoff teams, two Super Bowl level teams, depending on who you ask, and the Eagles and the Commanders. Third and fourth place, I don't hate the Giants coming in third. When I think of like roster by roster, of course, the Cowboys, they have the quarterback, they have the better wide receiver duo, even though Malik Neighbors and CeeDee Lamb, those are two, top echelon guys, but they don't really have a guy to complement Malik. But defensively, the Giants, I think you mentioned it, Riv, it's going to keep them in games, right? Like no matter how low you are on Russell Wilson in the Giants offense, which I'm not over the moon about, but I do think with Brian Dable, Andrew Thomas healthy, Malik Neighbors, running back pairing with Cam Scatterbo and Tyrone Tracy, I think it could be a respectable unit. Like, can it be like the 21st, 22nd best offense in football? I think that's possible. And you're going to have a defense that is one of the best in football, at least one of the best pass rushers in football. The only thing that concerns me with the Giants is, can the pass rush be utilized? Because it's really hard to rush the passer if you're down by a touchdown or two, right? Like it's hard to get teams in these obvious passing situations when the opposing team is winning a lot. So with that being said, I think I would still have the Cowboys 3. I'd have the Giants 4. If the Giants just had somewhat of an easier schedule where like you don't have to play the 10 best teams the first 10 weeks of the season, I would be more bullish on them. But it feels like an uphill battle for them to win like 7 games, where I feel like the Cowboys are more likely to do so.
I feel like the most interesting conversation around this division lies in Washington and Philadelphia. Washington, although they made a lot of offseason moves, Philadelphia is just so good that we still don't think that they've caught up to Philadelphia. And everything, for the most part, not entirely, because there were 2 parts of the season for Philly, before week 5 and after week 5. But after week 5, everything pretty much went perfect, and they were the most dominant team in the NFL. What do you see this year, if anything, could hold back Philly?
I guess if there's one thing that could hold back Philly would be the lack of depth that they have at DB. Like, I guess that's the one blemish I look at this team. Yeah, you lose Milton Williams. Yeah, you lose Josh Sweat. Those are definitely 2 big holes that you do have to fill. But I think it's the fact that opposite side of Guantanamo Bay, you have Cooper DeJean, but he's more that nickel guy. Who's going to be that outside corner that you have with him that you can trust on a down-to-down basis? That would be my concern. Other than that, I still trust this offense. I still trust this offensive line. Hopefully, Landon Dickerson is 100% ready to go by week 1. I know that he got away easy considering what it was thought to be. Thank God that this is actually what it was, and we are going to get a healthy Landon Dickerson. But regardless, I guess that would be the one hole. It'd be that DB room. But even still, it's not enough for me to think that the Commanders can surpass them in the division, can surpass them as the top contender in the NFC. I still don't love this Commanders defense. That's really where the difference between the 2 teams lies with me. We can be as high as we want to be on the Commanders offense, even still with not the overwhelming amount of talent, but because Jaden Daniels is so great, because Terry McLaurin has stepped up the way that he has, we can be as high as we want. But regardless, the defense got to go out there and has to get stops. And that really is my concern when looking at these 2 teams.
I would say if there's anything, didn't mean to cut you off there, Riv, that could hold them back, it's just the history of running backs that led the NFL in touches the prior season, having wear and tear the following year. We saw Derrick Henry in 2020 the following year. He missed some time. Josh Jacobs, and then more recently CMC.
David Johnson back in the day.
There's definitely some history there, and Saquon's an absolute specimen. So he's fighting against that, and he's looking to change that narrative. But even then with the Giants, Saquon was playing 13, 14 games the last couple of years, but just given how much their offense leans on him in the regular season, I would say that's going to be the biggest question.
Yeah, John, that was definitely one thing I was going to bring up. Just lessen the load on Saquon. He had 320 plus touches. So would like to just see maybe him cut down to maybe 250, 260. There was a couple games where we were force feeding him a little bit. In the other games, he was just bugging out. So just keep giving him the ball. I guess defensive line depth. I want to say they're putting a lot of faith in the Hunt and Ojomo and guys like that. So if they don't produce like you want to, then obviously guys like Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, those would be severe losses that you really miss. But if the depth shows up, then, you're feeling good. And then like you mentioned, Drew, just that boundary corner. I think that's like the biggest thing that's been in camp, that they don't have Jackson, Ringo, Bennett. Nobody's really stuck out. Obviously Bennett got there late, but just specifically Jackson and Ringo, they were so bad that DeJean had to come back to play cornerback too. So, obviously he's going to be traveling all around the field. They're going to have him rushing the passer. They're going to have him playing safety, covering. Like, he's going to do a lot of everything. He's kind of our, the little gadget guy. We just put him everywhere. But yeah, like really just that secondary, because week 1, we do have Pickens and CD. So I'm fine with whoever Quinion matches up with, but who's going to match up with the other guy? That's going to be the big thing. But yeah, everything is really minor, because I think this team is just super talented where they'll be able to get over that hump.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll throw out there is just changing offensive coordinator. We saw a couple of years ago when you go from Shane Steichen to Brian Johnson, it felt very similar to this team, where it's like this team is too good even with the change in coordinator to fail. And even though they started off 11-0 or 10-0, whatever it was, we saw down the season, obviously, or down the stretch of the season, how it ended up. So that would be, I think, the only other concern that we haven't mentioned yet is just moving on from Kellen Moore, who, isn't a world beater by any means, but I think, proved to be a good coordinator, a good play caller. You're going to Kevin Patullo now, I believe his name is, who was the passing game coordinator from last season. How does that work, right? Like, how does Jalen Hurts, who is once again stepping into the shoes of another offensive coordinator, feels like every single year they get somebody new, whether they fire him or they get a head coaching job. But does the offense take any sort of a step back? I feel more confident this year than 2 years ago, just because you have Saquon. So you have something to kind of hold your hat on. Like, if everything goes to fail, they're still going to have a great defense, because even with the departures, you have Vic Fangio there really holding things down at defensive coordinator. But you have Saquon there that is always a security blanket. You have the elite offensive line. So that would be my only other concern that we haven't mentioned yet.
You have a lot of players stepping into new roles. Jomo, Jalix Hunt were rotational players for them, and now they're going to be asked to have more of a full-time load. Boundary corner is a question mark. But I think what makes this Eagles defense different than the 1-2 years ago, when after losing the Super Bowl, a lot of players left, is the fact that linebacking core was so garbage, bottom barrel league, and that is the backbone of your defense. If you cannot cover from that position, you cannot cover routes in the middle of the field, it leaves you very vulnerable on defense. And I think the Eagles having the best linebacking core in the NFL, because not only do you have Zach Bond, but then Nakobe Dean as well, and then they drafted Jahad Campbell. The fact that you have all three of those guys, I think, is going to really mask a lot of deficiencies with the Eagles defense. They'll be able to make up a lot of ground. And then the offense, it is offensive coordinator. I think Saquon should get less of a load this upcoming season, and I think they should pass the ball a little bit more this upcoming year too. And Kevin Patullo, who's their new OC, he comes from the Colts with Nick Sirianni. He came over with Shane Steichen. So they didn't go to an outside party and hire somebody like they did with Vic Fangio in the defense. This is somebody in-house that has known this offensive system for a while now. So a lot of the things that he already knows Jalen Hurts likes to run and is comfortable running, he knows those things. So I think it's going to make the offensive transition pretty seamless. And oddly enough, if this was any other circumstance, I actually think Washington would have a much better chance at winning their division, because I think they had an incredible offseason. They brought in Deebo Samuel, they brought in Laramie Tunsil, and then defensively they brought in a corner in the second round and Trey Amos to pair up with Marshawn Lattimore and Sandra Still, and Lattimore now is healthy. And then Von Miller is just a boost to their pass rush. I don't think he's a player he once was, but he makes them at least better as a pass rushing unit. So I think if this was like any normal circumstance in a division that didn't feature the Eagles, the Commanders would be the pick to win their division. I think they had a really good offseason that is kind of being overshadowed because of how dominant the Eagles are.
Not going to
got
disagree.
Jaden Daniels going into year 2, right? You played MVP level in year 1. He could get better.
Yeah, because it feels like the same thing with the Texans and Commanders, because the Texans had a great offseason last year too, and then they fell off.
I think people are just underlooking the offseason because they brought in washed players.
Debo's not washed.
Past his prime for sure.
Debo may have looked washed last season. I am still under the belief he has something in the tank.
He better. I got him on my fantasy team.
He might still have something. You could still be washed and still have something.
You're cooking like Keenan Allen last year. He gave me a little some, and he wasn't Keenan Allen.
He's washed, but he still got a little some. You know, Von Miller washed.
Can you respect an all-time great, please?
Love Von washed. But still got a little something.
An all-time great.
Now the next division, the NFC North. For me, number 4, maybe this is roundtable for all of us, or round screen for all of us. The Bears. So nobody here thinks the Bears will shock people and just be so much better under Ben Johnson to the point that they'll be better than one of Packers, Lions, or Vikings.
Yo, honest to God, if they're better than one of those 3 teams this season, Ben Johnson should get Coach of the Year votes. And that is not me saying the Bears are bad. That's more me saying the 3 teams in front of them are just so definitively better than they are.
It's fair.
I'm with that. I think they had a good offseason. I think like legitimately they had a good offseason. Yeah, I think they even have a good team. I think just that division is so nasty. It's so good, so talented, and they just have the bad luck of being in probably the best division in football outside of maybe the AFC West. But that division is super, super tough. Would I be shocked if they hit 3, 2, or 1? Absolutely, because I'm a lot higher on Minnesota than a lot of people. I'm really high on Detroit. I'm high on Green Bay. I think the Chicago team, though, can still make – I think all 4 of these teams have a chance to make the playoffs, though. That's how good I think this
let me ask you guys something. Because we all have the Bears finishing at 4, it also, I think, doesn't have to be a major indictment, but it is a little bit of an indictment on how great we think Caleb Williams can be this upcoming season. And the temperature on him has cooled down from last offseason to he's going to break all these rookie records with this great offense to now it's we don't want to buy in too much on the Bears because that is still an unknown, because I do think the Vikings might have a more talented roster than Chicago. But what if Caleb Williams is just so much better than JJ McCarthy to where the gap in the roster closes a little bit? So the question is, like, how do you guys feel about Caleb heading into year 2? Are you still very high on him? Are you lower on him? Where are you guys at with him?
I still really like Caleb.
Go ahead, Dels.
I still really like Caleb. It's nothing against Caleb or really the Bears. I think it's just the gnome that we have in these 3 other teams, right? Detroit just won a playoff game. The Vikings won 14 games in the regular season last year. The Packers went to the playoffs and just got Micah Parsons, right? So you have all of these teams that all have either great quarterbacks, right? Jared Goff, Jordan Love, or great, coaching staffs, which I think Chicago and Ben Johnson is entering that tier, right? But he's unproven. If they were in the NFC South, it'd be like, holy shit, this team can win the division, right? Like if they were in even the AFC South, they're like, holy shit, this team is probably better than the Texans. They're just in the toughest or second toughest division in football right now. So even though I'm still super high on Caleb. Like I think Caleb ceiling is still a top 10 quarterback, a top 5 quarterback. Like that's how great he is. And I think he's going to have a really good year with Ben Johnson, an offense that's not going to ask him to do everything, and a coaching staff that's actually going to uplift him. But it's just those 3 other teams are so solidified. They all have elite head coaches. They have elite units of their own team. That Chicago, it's mostly projecting, right? Like outside of offensive line, which I feel great about, everything else is like, it should be good. It should work. But all of these other teams are proven.
It's true. I'll also say the run game is the one thing that I know Ben Johnson's going to want to make a focal point of the offense, and I'm just not sure if the personnel is going to match what he wants to do, at least this upcoming season. I think that it's a work in progress. While you have Caleb on this rookie deal, this is going to be the Bears' time to make moves and try and go all in, and I just don't think that that's this season. I still think Caleb Williams is going to be a great quarterback in this league. That's not me trying to minimize what he is or what the Bears can be, because last season I wasn't high on Minnesota, and Minnesota with Sam Darnold, they go out there and they win, 14 games, 15 games. They had one of the best seasons of any team in the league. Minnesota's a great roster. They're one of the best rosters in the league. And I think at floor, even if JJ McCarthy is average, we're still looking at a Minnesota team that can win 10 to 11 games just because of the overwhelming amount of talent that they do have. And on top of it, if JJ McCarthy becomes one of those where he has to game manage his way through it, they do have not only the coaching to help with Kevin O'Connell, but of course the run game that they can rely on a little bit as well now that they added Jordan Mason in the backfield to spell if Aaron Jones does get injured once again. There is at least support for him to be successful. Whereas for the Bears, I have to wait and see. I kind of went all in last season and kind of went on projecting, and they let me down miserably this season, where I think that they should take a step in the right direction. I am positive of that. I'm just not sure if it's going to be one that supersedes the Packers, Minnesota, or of course not for me, the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. I think most importantly for the Bears, the foundational year where it's going to take some time to establish a system by Ben Johnson and find the right personnel, both on the offensive line and then the skilled position department. And when you have 3 top 10 teams in your division, it kind of makes it clear to me. It's like, if the Bears can just double your win total, get the 7-8 wins, that's a huge success. And then everything else after that, I feel like it comes down to them just getting as much development from Caleb Williams and being more accurate, him doing those little things, which were mostly correctable better in year 2. And I feel like that's going to be the biggest takeaway this year, how Caleb Williams develops.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think the other teams are just as talented. I think they just have the unluck of, like John mentioned, playing with 3 of the 10 best teams in the NFL in their division. So it's really just about continuing to get better internally, continuing to make moves like they did with bringing in Joe Thuney and stuff like that. If they can continue to do that, build up. I do think they have some talent. I think Montez Sweat is really good. Javon Dexter is a young player that they like. Jalen Johnson, he has that secondary on lock. But like Drew mentioned, I don't like the talent in the running back room. I do think their wide receivers are really good. I think their tight end group and Cole Kmet and Colson's going to be really good too. It's just that running back room, which is something Ben Johnson, he thrived on. It's something he really loves. That's the one thing I'm worried about, to be honest.
I kind of feel like the Vikings are getting advertised as this roster with no holes outside of a quarterback that you still have to wait and see on. But this corner room has very little depth. Isaiah Rodgers, Byron Murphy, those are the 2 corners, and I think that is a solid group. Tavier Thomas is the nickel back. And then outside of that, if one of those 2 outside corners gets hurt, here comes Jeff Okudah. I just feel like the Vikings have a very vulnerable secondary, and Brian Flores' defense tasks his defensive backs to be very aggressive. So I think the Bears, I kind of feel like they can be 3rd. I think they can be better than Minnesota. I think Minnesota shocked everybody this past season, but what are the odds that JJ plays as well as Sam Darnold for the entirety of the year? If you get him not playing at that level, maybe half of that level, and then you get the defense and the secondary regressing, I mean, I do think the Bears, with all of the offensive line moves they made, with the weapons they already had on offense, with Caleb Williams, with the defense that has proven not too long ago in the second half of 2023 to be the first-ranked defense unit in the league, in large part due to turnovers, but they do play an aggressive branded defense. I do think Chicago can be better than Minnesota this upcoming season.
I just don't. Why do we always pick Minnesota out the bunch when they won the second most games out of the 3 teams?
Green Bay just got Micah.
Listen, that's fine, but they have the best coaching staff in the division. They have probably the best wide receiving core in the division, and then on top of that, they have guys in the front 7: Andrew Van Nickel, Jonathan Greenyard. Like, they have guys. Ivan Pace had a really good year last year, and you mentioned it. Yeah, their secondary is a bit skinny. I'm not going to disagree there. It's not all the way there, but at the same time, Flores and Kevin O'Connell get the best out of their guys. Like, this is a team we thought was not going to be good last year, and then they pumped out 14 wins, and they were beating top competition. They was actually wiping the floor with top competition. So I get, Green Bay has, Micah Parsons. Detroit still has their talent, but this Minnesota team was tooth and nail, neck and neck with Detroit all year last year. So I just think I get it. The JJ McCarthy stuff, he's a rookie. All that's cool. This team won 14 games with Sam Darnold essentially being ass, and then he got there and he was good. So,
he was great that year. He was great that year.
No, I'm saying though, he was ass prior. He was sent there.
His situation
was
terrible.
He would be good. What?
His situation was terrible.
Well, he was ass before Minnesota. It's okay. and he just got better. It's
And
like
I said
it's
his
fine.
situations were terrible. Carolina,
Yeah,
with
it
CMC,
was. He was also
played
terrible.
well.
Yes, he wasn't good either. It's okay. He's good now. It really is. We don't have to go back and forth on that. He's good now. That's it. But
So you,
I
Riv,
don't.
you have Minnesota finishing how high?
I got him at 1. I'm winning the division.
Over Green Bay that just got Micah, and over Detroit.
Yeah, you keep saying this Micah stuff. I like. Yes.
What do you mean? It's Micah Parsons.
I get. They won 14
I was gonna
games,
say,
bro.
Micah Parsons was just a part of a team that also finished in 3rd place.
He was also part of multiple teams 3 years in a row that won 12 games.
It's true, but
It's
again,
true. Minnesota
he
just won
was a
14.
part of a team
The
that
Packers
did just play.
became better. Micah versus Brian O'Neill and whoever starts at left tackle until Darisaw comes back. Like, I mean,
Darren's been taking a lot of snaps and can't.
yeah, I think he should be back sooner than expected. Listen, Minnesota at 1. I'm not saying they can't because they won 14. I think it's possible for every team outside of Chicago to finish number 1. I think Chicago, it feels like a team that everybody's sleeping on collectively, and they're just going to be really good this year.
Well, I don't like that opinion, man. I don't like it for the fact that you said if there's one team that the Bears could be better than, it can be
doesn't make
Minnesota.
sense.
It is. It's
But
Minnesota. They can't.
It literally
No.
it's a contradiction.
Because
It's
the
a
Packers have Jordan
contradiction.
Love. That's why they have Jordan Love.
And they
And
won.
the
They
Vikings-
didn't beat none of the teams with
And
Jordan
the
Love.
Vikings have
What are you talking
JJ
about?
McCarthy. That's why I think JJ McCarthy is very much a big question mark.
You said
bro.
you said JJ McCarthy
Bro.
was better than Bo Nix.
He
Bro.
can be long term. He can be. Absolutely, he can be.
Hold on, Joel. I'll be honest.
Absolutely.
It does not matter that they have Jordan Love. I'm gonna tell you why it does not matter.
Why does it
Because
matter?
they had him last year. And they won
Injured.
1 game in the division.
With no
1
Micah
game.
Parsons.
Okay,
And they should have lost that
Chicago.
game. And they should have lost it.
They won 1 game.
So
One.
is last year the only thing you're evaluating Jordan Love and the Packers on? That's
You
it.
just evaluated
not-
some Brett Favre shit and
So-
some Aaron
so-
Rodgers shit
so-
from
so
10 years
because-
ago.
So
I can't
because
evaluate
so
last
because
year?
so because the Packers won 1 game in the division last year, this upcoming season they'll win 1 game again.
No. Listen, I'm attacking the point that you said. Oh, they have Jordan Love. That shit didn't matter last year. It didn't because
He
they won
was
1
hurt.
game.
His first game back from
He was
injury
hurt
was
last
against
year.
Minnesota. He was
sorry.
hurt.
All
He
the
played- he was hurt.
was
He
hurt
came
all
back from
year.
an MCL injury,
Joel,
This-
he was hurt all year.
and then
He could be hurt again this year.
And
I
he's
think-
also coming into the season coming off of thumb surgery.
He's fine. He said he's ready to go. He's ready to start quick.
All
That's
right.
what
He said he was ready to go
I
said
last
that.
year.
Facts.
Yeah. Okay.
He probably said he was
Riv,
ready
you
to go
have
last
Vikings 1. I'm guessing you have Detroit 2, Green Bay
For sure.
3, and Chicago
Three.
4.
Yeah.
I
I think
have
they're all
the
11 plus
Packers-
win teams.
1. I think they win the North this year.
I don't know if
think
everyone won 11 games.
Drew's take is in jeopardy
They
of the
did last
Lions
year.
winning the division 3 straight years.
I
I
won't
think-
lie. The Micah news definitely put a damper on things. I was feeling very confident coming into the season. That's why I was hoping that Micah to the Packers wasn't it. That being said, I'm still confident. I still think Detroit wins the division. I believe that the Packers and Minnesota, it'll be a very close race. I'm going to go and give the breaker to the Packers because I believe right now they do have the better quarterback. I'll go with the Packers at 2. I'll go 3 Minnesota and 4 Chicago. I will be shocked if the Bears do not finish at 4th. Not an indictment on them, respecting the 3 teams ahead of them. But Minnesota and Green Bay, that's a coin flip for me because I really do respect Minnesota and the additions they made with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave.
They made a lot of additions too onto that offensive line, which I think it's overlooked.
Amen.
Ryan Kelly, you get Will Fries, and then of course Darisaw come back healthy. He's a full participant in the joint practices.
The
and
Vikings
training
got
camp.
better for sure.
A lot better.
Not
And
according to you. Not according to you.
Sure.
Yo,
So
dog,
did
according
the
to you, they got
Bears.
worse.
that take was poopy.
The
as
Bears got better
hell.
too.
They did.
Everybody got better. Except
Everybody
Detroit.
did get better. Everybody did get better.
Detroit got worse.
The
Only team that got worse.
Vikings
got worse.
They got healthy. Stop. They're healthy.
They lost their OC.
They lost 2 out of their 5 offensive linemen and both.
and
their
they're getting
coordinators.
Aiden Hutchinson back. They're getting Aleem McNeil
That's a
back.
fact.
They're getting
November.
Malcolm Rodriguez
They lost
back.
their OC,
November.
DC, and then their offense.
All
One of
right,
those guys
offensive
go
line
back
are
to
one.
Detroit.
They get
The
replaced every
offensive
year.
line for the Lions
It's concerning.
took
a
a
little
big hit.
Big hit, yeah.
Absolutely, it did.
Lost their entire interior over the last 2 years.
That hurt.
And
I'm not
a
gonna
lot
lie.
of those players that you mentioned come back defensively are projecting to come back in the middle of the season in November as well, working their way off injuries, which I feel like is very important to note if you're not going to have them the first 8 to 10 weeks. Now, prior to this Mike injury, I had the Packers at 3. I'm going to have them move up now into the top 2. I'm going to have the Lions slide to 3. But it's important to note, all 3 of these teams mirror top 10 teams in football. I think that's where the separation between them is very thin. Number 2, I had the Packers. And I think the Packers have a higher ceiling in the playoffs because I trust Jordan Love in the regular season. I believe the Vikings well-oiled machine with their infrastructure and their coaching. That's why they get the slight edge number 1, because last year, a lot of people didn't have the Vikings making the playoffs. And Sam Darnold had an awesome season, the same way Kirk Cousins did. And the reason why the Vikings as high as they do is because Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer. And we've seen it year in and year out with quarterbacks with questions. And it's really it's no surprise. We've seen backups like even Josh Dobbs come in and play solid football for weeks. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to come in and play his role to a T, and he has the perfect infrastructure, especially when Addison comes back after week 3 and the offensive line's healthy.
John, question. I have a question for you. Yeah, motherfuckers watch Joshua Dobbs play good and they're worried about JJ. But yeah, question, John. You said the Packers have the highest ceiling in the playoffs because of who?
Not
Because
that
they have the
me.
best quarterback in the division. And on
The
top of
quarterback that
Too.
Mr. Decision Maker.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking. Just
Up
asking.
into
Just
the
wondering.
fourth quarter of that playoff game versus the Niners the year before.
No,
we
John.
should
I wanted to make sure I heard you right. I just
But
wanted to make sure I
really,
heard you right. That's
I
all.
give Jordan Love a little bit of leeway. Now, keep in mind,
Of course you
I'm
do.
not the most staunch. I had Jordan Love outside my top 10 quarterbacks, but I believe this year is where it can climb into that top 10 with a healthy season.
Let me ask you.
When I look at Green Bay, I feel like their ceiling's the highest because at the additions they made in the offseason, and then along with that, their coaching is top tier as well.
Now,
Did
John,
you give Tua leeway for playing in -4-degree weather?
Hell no, he didn't.
Did
None
you
of
give
us
him
did.
leeway?
I would say I
Or
did.
did you just say he played like dog shit?
Jordan Love we're talking about?
No. I'm saying for Tua, when he played in -4-degree weather, did you say anything other than he played like shit?
I definitely said it was
That boy
hard to
from
watch.
Miami.
I don't
So
know
it's like
how
minus
Tua-
30
I don't
for
know
him.
how
Because
Tua
I'm
related
just
to this. I'm
saying,
confused.
for Jordan, who in 2 of the 3 playoff games he's played, he's absolutely gagged.
Well, in the first half of that Niner game, he was playing pretty well. And
No,
so
no,
then
it's a
then
great
that third
thing
quarter.
that games are 4 quarters, and you got
You
to be
said 2 of
at
3.
least
You said 2 of
solid.
3, and I don't agree with that.
Huh?
You said 2 or 3, with the exception of one very bad decision at the end of that 49er game. He was playing good football.
No,
until
he
the third
was
quarter of
not
that
good
game.
from the halfway point of the third quarter to the end of the game.
he let them in field goal range, and then the kicker missed a kick
When was this? In what? In
in
what?
the second half.
Okay, before that was again the third quarter, halfway point on.
It's a little bit past
God.
halfway. But I know what you're saying.
I don't
know
think
what
you
you're
can.
saying.
I don't think that game you can say Jordan Love was terrible that game.
For under 200 yards.
It's not the.
It wasn't
It's not.
great.
One of the
It's
worst
not the.
INTs I
It's
ever
not the
seen in
same
game.
as the
He
Eagles game that just
actually,
happened.
he really did look like Brett Favre because he's going
No.
across field and he slings it middle.
It was a
That's
terrible
what's
say
special
this.
about him.
It wasn't that game where you like, I trust him. It wasn't one of those games. Like, I
It
trust
can't
him
be.
more
It's
than
always
anybody.
gotta
else.
win.
Wasn't that?
War game.
You know, I don't, and this goes for John too, but I know John does trust Jordan Love, and I appreciate that he does trust Jordan Love.
We know
One
you
thing I didn't like
appreciate it.
about what he said is that when he had him outside the top 10 quarterbacks, he's much like Dell's a fool for having him outside the top 10.
You had him
He
at 9, I had him at 11.
He is
Had
a
him at
top 10
12.
quarterback, and this is not
I'm
the year that
talking to
he.
Joel.
This is not the year that he climbs into the top 10 rankings, Don. This is the year that
He's
he
MVP.
solidifies himself as an elite quarterback in the NFL, and he starts to get
0 for 2.
recognized as that. And I don't need any of you guys to trust or believe in Jordan Love in the big time moments, because I believe in Jordan Love in the big time moments, and I know
you-
he will show out and he will
Yo,
perform in the big
Joel,
time moments.
Joel, have I
Yo.
not given Jordan Love his credit since the time he's played in 2023 on?
Yo.
I've given him
No,
his
Drew,
respect.
Drew and Dell. You remember when he put all his faith in Brazil? You remember when he put all his faith in Brazil, and then
And I
he
will
did it
continue
in
to put my
Philly.
faith in Jay Love. There's
Yeah.
nothing that will ever stop me
played
or
like
inhibit
shit,
me
yeah.
from
Joel,
putting my
you
faith
went
in
on
Jay
a-
Love. I
You
will
went
always
on
put
a
my faith in Jay Love.
generational L tour when you continue to put your faith in Jordan Love from that Niners game until after that second half of the Niners game. After that, you proceeded to watch him fail every single time you put your faith in him. And now you are going for another year of Green Bay to the Super Bowl. Jordan Love MVP. Like,
Here's
we
the
do
thing.
this every
The
Your NFC
losses
hit
make
rate is terrible.
the losses make the victories that much sweeter. And that's what it's going to be for the Packers. You cannot believe in Jordan Love. It's fine. You don't have to.
I have him
I
top 10.
will.
I believe in him.
I have him top 10.
I think Jordan Love's a
I
good
believe in
quarterback.
him too.
Now,
Drew,
what's your
him.
standings? What's your standings prediction?
Dels, you know what's funny, Dels? He believed in Dallas, right? All them years, and now Mike
Here
is
he
in
goes.
Green Bay. He believed in Green Bay. Now they're like joint, so now he can just believe in both in Green Bay. It's like this is exactly what he wanted. So now Micah and Jordan Love are in Green Bay. He has all
Riv,
this
what I don't
love
like
and
about
faith.
Riv is Riv acts as if this has been an every year Dallas. It's been 2 years. 2020 was Tampa Bay, Riv, which I was right on. It was Tampa Bay. 2021,
Sure.
the team that I picked was the Packers to come out the NFC. Then 2022 and 2023, it was Dallas. In 2024, it was Green Bay. In 2025,
You're 0
it'll
for
be
4.
Green Bay again.
You're 0 for 5.
No, I have
He's due.
one
He's due.
victory. I have one victory in that.
Oh,
I
one
have
was
Tampa
he's
Bay
not
in
new.
there.
He-
Tampa Bay.
So okay,
He's got Brady,
Tampa Bay.
basically.
Tampa Bay.
Brady.
Joel's more of an AFC
Tampa
guy.
Bay.
He's an
Yeah,
AFC
that's-
guy.
Yeah, it's
I
just
think he's picking
Chiefs.
the same team.
That's
The
pretty
same
easy.
fucking team keeps
Chiefs
going.
every year.
Tampa Bay, baby. Tampa Bay. But Dels, what's your standings predictions for the NFC North?
I mean, this is the toughest division for me to predict. I really wouldn't be mad in any order, like including the Bears win this division. Would it be crazy? Yes, but every single season there's a team that goes worst to first. Every single season there's a team that shocks us. And it wouldn't be shocking to me if the Bears won 11 plus games. I believe in Caleb. I believe in Ben Johnson, this offensive line, and a defense that's going to be, above average at the very least. So I'm not really mad in any order. If I had to pick an order, which I have to do because that's
Yes,
our
you do.
job here.
That's your job.
I
Do your
was
job.
before the Micah trade, I was like, Detroit's coming in first, Green Bay's coming in second. I felt good about it. After the Micah trade, I'm like, damn, this is neck and neck. This felt as close as it's ever been the last couple of years to me. Right now, I would have Green Bay coming in first place. I think I can't
You don't
overlook
stand on shit, Dels.
losing both of your coordinators, losing 2 of your 5 starting offensive linemen from last year,
Great lineman.
and just being like, we're going to win 13 plus games again. Because, Detroit, that's what they've done basically, right? It's just no matter who's there, no matter who's injured, they step up. They have efficient offenses. They have good defenses. But I feel like some point, even if it's them falling back from 13 wins to 10 or 11 wins, I think they will have a step back. If I had to project any team to take a step back in this division, it is the Detroit Lions, right? Just because I feel like they have lost the most out of everyone in the NFC North. So I would have Green Bay in first, Detroit in second, Minnesota in third, Chicago in fourth.
He's a smart man. True.
It feels
They
good to
didn't
be
lose
alone
enough.
again. It feels good. It genuinely does. We'll see how this ages.
So I think it's
John,
only
it's me and you, brother. It's me and you, John.
Nah,
Riv
I'm
Vikings
firm on
won,
number one.
Dels Packers won, me Packers won, Drew Lions won, and John Vikings won.
Yes, sir.
Do it, John.
And
No, me and John
Lions
is-
3.
Mhm.
Lions 3. So major step back for the Lions
Yeah,
that you
it's
got
Lions
projected.
3 is
Hey,
it's
they
giving
won
me a stomach
15
ache.
games. They won 15 games last year, and that to me
Yeah,
was
they ain't
the
doing that shit again.
ceiling for that Detroit team.
Shout
Oh
out to
yeah,
Minnesota,
no,
man.
duh. Their ceiling was them losing 2 games last season.
You know what that means, Drew? They're bound to regress.
Oh no, they're
Yeah.
gonna win 13. Oh no. Are the
Well, I'll
Packers
tell you-
winning 15 games?
No,
Are the Vikings winning 15 games?
no.
All
Probably
right
not.
then. It's okay if the Lions win 13 games. They can still win the damn division.
No, division probably is 13 wins.
The Lions have 2 tough games early on. I know they face the Packers week 1,
The team they swept.
and-
Yeah.
and within the first 6 weeks, they also face the Chiefs as well. Those are 2 losses. You know, my
The team
boy
they
Love
beat
and
last
Mahomes.
year.
They're gonna take care of them boys.
They actually beat both of them last year. You forgot?
They're gonna take care of them boys.
I'm just letting you
NFC
know that.
South. This is the division that I think it's comfortably Tampa Bay number 1. I think we're all pretty high on the floor of Tampa Bay. I think John is the only one that thinks they have a different gear they can tap into. So you can speak to that a little bit, John, and then we can go to our 2, 3, 4.
Absolutely. I do
Yeah.
look at this as this is what team I had in my top 10. I look at the infrastructure that they built last year offensively, and the only question I'll have is Liam Cohen leaving. But I feel like the next step for this Buccaneer offense is the injection of youth between Bucky Irving and Mecca Ibuka, and then how well Baker Mayfield played last year, even when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were both at the lineup, and the supporting cast and depth they had in their weapons room. And they've gotten a lot of very good reporting with Tristan Wirfs, as well as Chris Godwin from what I've seen. And then I felt like defensively what they did in the draft, and a large part, some of those core pieces they have, you add in a guy like Hassan Reddick, opposite Yaya Dabby. I feel like that defensive line, that defense as a whole, it can be a lot better this year. I'm not going to say top 10, but I think it's going to improve, and their offense is going to continue to be one of the top 5 units in football. Division like this, I think that makes you a very convincing and very highly favored number one. And I feel like they can definitely win a playoff game, at least this year.
John, what's the extra gear, though?
The extra gear is
Playoff
I
game?
could see them competing for the conference championship. Not going to pick them to go there, but I think in the second round, the divisional round, they can give a team like Philly a fight.
I think my hot
Philly.
take for
Philly's
this
number.
division is I think the Panthers
Us.
are finishing second. I think they're finishing second in this division. I know Atlanta
And why is that? Why are they going
Um,
to finish in second, Joel?
because of
Say
Ted
his
McMillan,
name.
baby.
Say his name.
Well, Bryce Young
that
is going to
all?
give them a good floor. I think Bryce Young improved in the second half of 2024, that he's not a bad quarterback, that he's a good quarterback. He can play solid football, and he was really good in the second half. He was one of the 5 best quarterbacks in
Awesome.
terms of big-time throws.
Talk to him. No, he's number 2.
And-
Number 2.
Okay,
Joe
number
Burrow.
2. I love that Drew has the numbers memorized because he was also one of the top 5 quarterbacks against the blitz. He was very good under pressure and when he was getting blitz. But here's why I have Carolina winning the division. I think Atlanta has a talented offense. There's no doubt about that. I don't think they did enough defensively. James Pierce and Jalen Walker, I don't think is enough to make me now believe in this defensive line. And they also lost Caleb McGarry for the season, and he was protecting Michael Penix's blind side. But really, the reason why I'm in on Carolina, because if Carolina's defense was god-awful, I'd be out on them. But I actually think that Carolina's defense is going to be solid. It's going to be average this year. They not only get Derek Brown, but they spent $180 million in free agency. And the player they got that I think is going to make a big difference is Bobby Brown, coming from the Rams. He's a run stopper. He is going to be a big body inside, so they're not going to be vulnerable and susceptible against the run. And then they also signed Tershawn Wharton from the Chiefs. They added depth to this defensive line. And I think the reason why I'm going with the Panthers over Atlanta is because I think Carolina will be a more balanced football team. And Atlanta, I think, is going to be a high-scoring offense. They're going to put up a lot of points, a lot of volume numbers, but that defense, I still think, is not going to be very good.
I want to say, first off, shout out to the Cokeheads around the world. My brother, Jalen Coker, he will be starting in the slot for the Carolina Panthers. That's awesome because he was one of the more efficient wide receivers when he did play that position with Bryce Young. I look at this division, and I'm with you guys. Obviously, I do have Tampa Bay finishing in first. As high as I want to be on Carolina, and as much as I believe in Bryce Young and his breakout this season, I really respect what's going on in Atlanta. Michael Penix is going to be great this season. And with that supporting cast, with Drake London, a top 10 wide receiver, Bijan Robinson, a top 3 at worst, top 5 running back in the National Football League. Tyler Algier, we can't forget about him, one of the better running back duos we have in this league as well. And Darnell Mooney, who just he seems to be forgotten, and he had almost 1,000 yards last season. Him and Kirk Cousins had a really great connection early on. He is banged up going into the season. But it's now or never for Kyle Pitts. And we've been hearing a lot of great things out of camp that Kyle Pitts and Penix have had really strong rapport recently. That's something to be optimistic about if you are an Atlanta Falcons fan. But what you're really hoping and praying on is that these rookies that you drafted, four defensive players they drafted in the first 4 rounds, they knew what they had to target in the draft, and they did it. We joke all the time. If you need a position, if you need a certain specialty, you should use every single draft pick that you have to go ahead and target that. The Falcons actually took that into fruition, bringing in Pierce, bringing in Nolan, I got to stop chewing these sunflower seeds. I'm choking on them. This defense is the one part of the team that's holding all of us back from saying they can really win the division, because last year the defense wasn't great, and they blew it down the stretch to Tampa Bay to allow them to take the division. We all think, of course, coming into the season, because of how well Tampa Bay closed the year and how good they looked in the postseason, we forget that Tampa didn't start great. It was them slowly churning their way. And once the emergence of Bucky Irving came along, and that's really when their offense started to kick into another gear, that's when we started to look at Tampa Bay differently. But the Falcons were the team to beat, and they blew it. I think with a little bit more consistent quarterback play from Michael Penix, as opposed to what we saw from Kirk Cousins, which was a regular for us to see out of Kirk Cousins so far in his career, and the defense just be slightly better than what it was last year. The pass rush just be slightly better than it was. I think that they can legitimately give Tampa Bay a run for their money, but I'll give Tampa Bay the respect at 1. I'll go Atlanta at 2. I'll go Carolina at 3. And, of course, we don't even have to talk about the Saints, who they're competing for something else.
Yeah, I think that fight for second place is going to be extremely interesting. I think it's going to be one of the more fun races of the year because I think Carolina and Atlanta are on similar projections in terms of just their young talent, constantly getting better. With Atlanta, you mentioned it, Joel. They didn't really do enough, but I thought the direction they went in the draft was sound. They went young. They took defensive players. They want to build on that. I think they understand they're not ready for the playoffs yet. They want to just be in the hunt. That's cool. I think Michael Penix, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, Bijan. I think it's going to be a fun, exciting offense. A couple of their offensive linemen did get banged up in practice, so we'll see how that looks. But defensively, you still have Jesse Bates, who's one of the best safeties in football. You still have A.J. Terrell. So it's going to be a fun team. I think Carolina also gives you that type of vibe where Bryce Young, Ted McMillan, let's see what you can get from Xavier Legette. Chuba Hubbard is one of the more underrated backs in the league. The offensive line has some talent too. I think defensively, they're a little bit more sound than Atlanta, and that's why I'll lean them at number 2 because I do think, first of all, they have a primetime player in Derrick Brown. I think he's the best player out of both teams on the defensive side. And then offensively, Bryce was just extremely consistent towards the end of the year. He made some big time plays, almost beat my my Eagles and stuff. And I think now with Tet, a big time receiver, I think now he's going to get a lot of the work share with them trading Adam Thielen. I like Carolina at number 2. I think Atlanta for me is number 3, but that'll be a back and forth race. And of course, the worst team in football, the Saints.
Yeah, like you guys said, it's a race for second place here because I do think Tampa Bay comes in first. I think the Saints come in last place, but there's a lot of similarities I think between the Panthers and the Falcons, right? I think both teams were trusting their offense more than their defense, although both teams were able to make some improvements defensively in this offseason, whether it's through the draft or free agency. And both teams last year, it's almost like Carolina got a quarterback change in the second half of the season, the way Bryce Young played. I look at Atlanta. Kirk Cousins was terrible last year. Like, I hated watching Kirk Cousins play football. He could not move. It felt like he lost a tick when it comes to arm strength. He was one of the 7 to 8 worst quarterbacks, in my opinion, last year. Michael Penix, extremely small sample size, 3 games, a couple of those games against some really bad opponents. But I don't want to really take the results that Penix had because, it could sway depending on who you take. But I think the process of Michael Penix and what he put on tape last year is where you have to get excited. This is someone that was willing to take shots down the field. He was willing, to get the ball out of his hands quick. I know everyone compares him to Tua because he's a lefty, right? He's a pocket passer. But Tua and Penix have the same similarities in the sense that they both get the ball out quick, but they can both push the ball down the field. And I think that's what's really exciting about this Falcons offense and what it can be, because you do have the explosive options like we mentioned, and Drake and Mooney and Pitts and the running back duo. So excited about the Falcons offense. I think both these teams are defenses that we're really waiting to see what they can be. But I think I trust the Falcons offense a bit more. These offensive line issues definitely concerning, especially with Caleb going down as one of the better tackles in the NFL. But I like what I saw from Penix over these last few games, and I just trust the supporting cast as well.
Who's going to be better, Michael Penix or Bryce Young this year?
Bryce Young.
I think Bryce Young will be better. I think the stats, though, like the counting stats, they'll go to Penix because there's just more for him to work with right now.
It's close. That's tough.
Eye test will give you Bryce Young because that's just what it's been.
I think,
especially second half.
I almost feel the opposite. I almost feel like Bryce might have the better stats, but Penix might pop more on tape.
Yeah.
I actually feel the opposite of both. I think that Bryce Young is going to be better in both categories. I know that the Falcons have some great weapons, but Ted McMillan has a similar skill set to Drake London.
Come on.
Jalen Coker is one of the underrated breakout players at his position. He's really awesome. He was really awesome last year too in his sample size. I think Carolina, Bryce Young has a competent offense, and I like the Panthers' offensive line. I just feel like Bryce Young, heading into his 3rd season, is more prepared to have a better year, and I think he showed a lot of flashes in the second half of the year that you think can translate, and it happened against high-level defenses, and he played really well. So I would lean with Bryce Young.
After the game versus Philadelphia, there should be no doubt that he can go out there against any defense and do what needs to be done. There should be no doubt in anyone's mind. He was one of the best against the best defense in football last season.
Riv, who do you think is going to be better, Michael Penix or Bryce Young this year?
Ooh. That's a good ass question. I'm gonna go with Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young gonna have a better year. Yeah, I like Michael though. I think he's gonna have a good year too. Him and Drake had an early connection last year. It was pretty easily. He knew exactly where to go with the ball. It was that type vibe. It was sex. And then you got Kyle Pitts has been getting a lot of love in training camp. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. I've been telling Dells about Tyler Algier for a long time now. He's just been slept. And then Darnell Mooney, like you mentioned, Drew. He always got looked at as a number one in Chicago because he was the number one there, but I always felt like his role was more suited as a number two. And I feel like he's found the home here. But I think Bryce, he showed a lot. He showed some moxie last year, I think, that a lot of guys don't have. And like you mentioned, played my boys and gave us a scare because he almost won that game if somebody didn't drop the ball.
NFC West, I think we're going to have the most variance here. I have the 49ers number one. I think the Niners are going to be the only team this year that goes from worst to first. We have one every year, and I think the 49ers, to me, are the best bet for that. Number two, the Rams. I think you just have to – every year they start off slow. I just think that when are they going to start off fast? Matthew Stafford doesn't seem like his injury is a big deal. I think he'll be fine, but he is an older quarterback, and he is susceptible to taking hits because he hangs in that pocket and he throws that ball, and he's going to take those shots. Number three is Seattle. They just have a high elite defensive floor. And number four is Arizona. But I do think this is a division much like the NFC North where you can talk yourself into these teams. And I know Riv has talked himself to the team I have finishing last in Arizona. And he's talked himself to Arizona. And I could see why.
Yeah, this my last year, man. This my last hoorah.
Riv, we don't.
No, now with K1. Whoa. Now with K1. Whoa, this is the K1. Whoa. Me and K1 gonna be here till we retire. Talk about Arizona. Arizona. Yeah, it's my last hoorah because they really pissed me off last year in the biggest ways. As you can see, Dell's playing with his dog. But they really pissed me off last year in the biggest ways because they had an opportunity to take that division and. It was on Kyler to make some plays that he couldn't do. I think defensively, you saw a lot of growth and progression with this young unit. And I think now picking up Josh Sweat in free agency, going Will Johnson in the draft. I think Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray year two. I think James Conner, he's one of John's favorite running backs. He is an underrated running back in this game. I think Michael Wilson is an underrated wide receiver in this game. I think Budda Baker is still a top safety in this game. I think this team has a lot of young talent. I think Jonathan Gannon is a really good coach. And you can definitely talk yourself into this division, into Arizona winning division. And the reason why I can do that is because with the Rams, it's uncertainty with Matthew Stafford's back. And I think if it wasn't uncertainty, we would have them at number one comfortably because they have the best talent in the division. But with Matthew Stafford's back, uncertainty, like you mentioned, Joel, they always start slow as hell. And I think that is in due part because of just this team being unhealthy to start the year. And I think with Matthew Stafford being out right now, you don't know what's going to happen. With Seattle, that offensive line is still not at its best to protect Sam Darnold. I think that's important. Cooper Kupp, I think he's another guy who's kind of washed at this point. JSN's a really great talent, but I still think that our offense is not going to be able to run the ball or have a good pass protection for Sam Darnold. And then with the Niners, I think the Niners in Arizona, I think those are the two teams that probably give you the most faith just because the Niners, everything went wrong for them last year, and you got to just hope on the luck that everything goes right for them this year. I think this last year, everybody got hurt from the wide receivers to the running backs to the safeties to the linebackers. Like this team, offensive line, then they had terrible special teams. This team was just completely decimated, but I think this year they're going to rely a lot on their youth. So for me, I got Arizona at 1. I got the Niners at 2, Rams at 3, and I got Seattle at 4. Unless Stafford plays, then Rams go up to 1.
So let me ask out: Do you guys trust Marvin Harrison Jr. to break out in year 2?
What's a breakout?
Yeah, define.
You have to draft him. Basically, he's sitting there in the middle of the 3rd round in a fantasy draft. Are you taking?
Is JSN available?
I'd take JSN.
So
I would take JSN.
between JSN and Marv, you would go with JSN.
JSN.
I don't even think it's on
comfortably.
Marv. I think it's just the pairing with Kyler. I think it was pretty evident last year that it's not a duo that naturally fits together.
Because this is another player, much like Caleb, but different position where we did a would you rather on him before, and we took him over a lot of elite wide receivers. And then it feels like a year later, it's like, okay, maybe this guy isn't that in the NFL. He's a very good player. He's a great player, but he's not that upper echelon. Because I think a year ago, if you're saying rookie Marv or JSN, it's pretty comfortably Marv.
Yeah, I think everyone was taking last year. Marv, I mean, he was in fantasy, at least he was taken as a top 10 receiver as a rookie.
Because I think the ceiling of the Cardinals, this is an obvious statement, but it of course becomes higher if Marv turns into that dude. Because right now we're all projecting Trey McBride to lead that team in receiving yards because he does have more chemistry and it's a better pairing with Kyler Murray. It's a better connection. But Marvin Harrison Jr., if he turns into that, or at least somebody can challenge that hierarchy, I do think that overall the things for the Cardinals, the offensive ceiling for them becomes so much higher.
The one thing that keeps me optimistic about Marvin Harrison Jr. is, of course, shout out to Matt Harmon. He did his reception perception on him this past season. And the one thing that he struggled with is what we all knew was a struggle for him. It's that 9 route. It's that deep ball. That's not his strength whatsoever. Every other route, Marvin Harrison is one of the best, one of the premier already after year one. I still trust in the talent. I still trust in the ability of Marvin Harrison to get open, to separate, great hands. It's just a matter of can him and Kyler Murray get on a consistent connection. That's where I have my reservation. But regardless, I still do believe in Marvin. I still believe that this season he will be successful. But in that mid-third, when I think about JSN and how consistent he was last year, Sam Darnold and his ability to uphold Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to be very, very strong fantasy options. I think that's why I like the JSN over Marvin. But that's not to look at Marvin any lesser. I still think that he's going to have a really strong year. I look at the Cardinals. I think that this is the year that they should put it all together. If this isn't the year, Riv, I think it's perfectly said. When is it going to be? Because if you're Kyler, you still have a great situation. You have Trey McBride. You have Marvin Harrison. You have James Conner. Michael Wilson's not a bad number 2 option, probably a wide receiver 3, but you're going to have to deal with him as your wide receiver 2 right now, which ultimately isn't bad. On defensive side of the ball, Gannon has figured things out, especially second half of the season last year, where the defense was the main reason why they were actually winning ball games or were in ball games. If they weren't winning the game, it was unfortunately because Kyler Murray was not able to hold his end of the bargain. And I thought Kyler Murray was great last year. It was just in the clutch. Kyler Murray simply did not step up to the plate and hit a home run. I look at this team this year, and I think that this is the year they do put it all together, but not enough for me to put them over the top 2 teams. My number 1 team, I stay consistent. I'm going with the Rams. I'm not worried about the Stafford injury anymore. He's back at practice. He's full go. I love that, especially because how explosive this offense can be and should be so long as he is healthy, especially with the addition of Devontae Adams. This should be a top 5 offense in the league. You know I love Kyron. You guys know I love Puka Nacua. This offense is going to be great. Number 2, I am going with Seattle. Number 2, I am going with the Niners. If they are healthy, they do have a conversation for 1. God bless. The schedule is super easy. That is one of the reasons why I do have them at that 2 spot. But because of how unsure I am about how healthy they're going to be throughout the season, I understand that could be more of a question because Stafford, if he goes down, the season's over. But I've known Stafford to play through injuries. Unfortunately for CMC, he struggled with injury. Trent Williams is getting up there in age. If he goes down, then I'd look at this offensive line and I want nothing to do with it. But regardless, they are healthy right now. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. George Kittle is the best tight end in football. I do believe Ricky Pearsall has a breakout season this year. Juwan Jennings should be back at some point in time. And Brandon Ayuk's looking at an October return. If they get fully healthy, they can be a team that definitely scares team come postseason time. But for right now, I'll have them at number 2. Number 3, give me Arizona. And number 4, and I mean no slight about this because Seattle is a really strong team, a team that you should not sleep on. This is going to be one of the best defenses in the league. It's just the insurity of that offensive line. How great are they going to be? They look really strong in the preseason, but can that carry over into the regular season? I think Ken Walker is the best running back in that room. But of course, Zach Charbonnet is getting some hype. I'm not a huge Zach Charbonnet believer, but I think Ken Walker is going to have a great season so long as that offensive line holds up. And JSN, last year he showed you. Last year was a trailer. I think this is the year that he puts it all together and he solidifies himself as a top 15 at floor, top 20 wide receiver. He really is one of the more talented at separating and getting open, creating space, really sure hands. And I think Sam Darnold is going to be good enough to keep them afloat. I would not be surprised if this is one of the last wild card teams because of how great that defense is. And again, Sam Darnold can do a job and get you to around 9 wins.
Yeah, I think Joel, I think you put it nicely when you said that Arizona is kind of like Chicago, because I do have Arizona coming in last place in this division. But another division where you could talk yourself into it, right? Like you could talk yourself into this Cardinals team that potentially could have, maybe not the best defensive division because Seattle's there, but certainly the second best defense and maybe a top 10 unit, as we saw the second half of last year. A team that's proven they could run the ball with one of a top 10 running back, in my opinion, James Conner, and Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, and Trey McBride, who are all explosive in their own right, can create explosive plays and can really stress defenses. So Arizona would be my fourth place team. But again, it's like if you put them in a different division, like one of the teams in the South, they could be a division winner and they could, even compete for a wild card spot. It definitely feels like a team that come week 13, 14, 15, they're going to be around 500. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. But these three other teams, just they all feel a bit more safe, right? Like I think when you look at Seattle, you just feel so confident in that defense. You feel so confident in Mike McDonald's scheme that at worst, this feels like a team that's going to have a top 10 defense. And it feels like their ceiling is the best defense in football with the talent they have. And offensively, I'm starting to buy more into the offensive side of the football for Seattle. What we're seeing in the preseason, although I don't want to just take it to the bank and be like, this is going to be a good offensive line. I feel like it should be a notch up from what we've seen the last couple of years. You guys know I've always been a fan of Clint Kubiak going back to last season and just what he could bring. It's not only this running game, but also just the play action game, what that can open up, for these guys down the field, Torrey Horton, JSN, the last legs that we have of Cooper Kupp. They would be my third place team. Second place, I would have the Los Angeles Rams. I think Drew's right. I feel like the recent reports out of camp from LA, vibes are good with Matthew Stafford. He's going to be good to go for week 1. Beyond that, who knows? But this offense with Matthew Stafford on the field and all of his weapons, including an upgraded wide receiver 2 from Cooper Kupp to Devontae Adams, feels like an offense that has the potential to be one of the best in football, like a legit chance to be a top 5 unit. And then the defense last year, another defense that was super young, started off a little bit sketchy, but once the playoffs came around, this was the one team basically every team in the NFC, Eagles included, did not want to face because they have such dominant players. Jared Verse, for example, on that defensive side, and such experience at head coach and quarterback. But I would have the 49ers bouncing back and coming in first place here. It's not even so much of a talent thing, because I think roster-wise, I don't think they're leaps and bounds better than any of these teams. It's more so just a schedule-wise, right? We talked about them having the easiest schedule in the NFL for this upcoming season, and you take away the NFC West opponents, because, of course, they all have to play each other. But the other opponents they have to play include the Saints, the Jaguars, the Falcons, the Giants, the Panthers, the Browns, Tennessee, Indianapolis, Chicago. It just feels like they are going to be going up against the worst from these other divisions. Of course, coming in last place last season, that's going to help there. Also bringing in Robert Saleh, I think is going to be a big boost to this defense, right? 2 years ago, this was an elite defense, a top 5 unit. Last year, of course, dealt with injuries. They were pretty terrible defensively, right? This is one of the worst units in football. And of course, they did lose some talent. Hufanga, Greenlaw going to Denver. But Robert Saleh has shown that even with not the most talented defenses, he's able to uplift them. And he's shown, if you give me a great defense, I can make you an elite defense. So I just feel really confident of this defense bouncing back, being a respectable unit. Then when you have Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan on offense, I just feel really confident you're going to have an effective and efficient offense. So I would have the Niners in first, Rams second, the Seahawks in third, and Arizona in fourth.
This is the division for me that feels like the most level playing field, where all 4 teams have a chance to win. The team that I had the most confidence in would be the Rams, until I see Stafford can't be on the field. And that's something that could completely alter this ranking. But I'm going to have Rams at 1, Niners at 2, Like you said, Dallas, I think their schedule is what gives them such a high floor as a team. Third, I have the Cardinals, and fourth, I have the Seahawks. And I love a lot of what Seattle's defense showed last year. I also love their offensive coordinator hire. But what it comes down to is that I felt like Geno Smith was what held that offense together with his ability to play under pressure last year. And I feel like that's what gives me the most amount of pause with Sam Darnold replacing him.
Hey, I want to say this before we head out to the different division and whatnot. Arizona, man, they were, in just terms of EPA per play, success rate, EPA per pass, they were one of the best offenses in football. And then even in the red zone, in the red zone on defense, regular just standard EPA, they weren't that great. They were bottom of the league. But in the red zone, they were one of the best defensive teams when it comes to the red zone. So they did not let teams score if they got down there. They tightened up. And I think with, some extra added talent that they added in offseason, obviously, and then another year of those young players getting better, it really is just about putting it together. And like Drew mentioned, just finding that niche of experience and young guys getting better, and then Kyler Murray putting together a full season. Because I do think that is one of the key contributors. Like, I think all these other guys, Brock Purdy, a lot more consistent, Matthew Stafford, a lot more reliable. I think Sam Darnold last year was more consistent than Kyler probably has ever been. I think when Kyler's putting together a full 14-15, that gives you a really high floor, or high ceiling, I should say, in this division.
I feel like the team I hope I'm wrong about the most is Seattle. I think their offensive line with a new scheme change could be very beneficial to that run game. And if they can run the ball effectively and just play elite defense behind that and control the clock, I think they feel a little bit like a sleeping giant in this division. I'll be honest. I'm that high on Seattle. And
Dark horse Super Bowl type shit?
No. Dark horse
no,
win the
Sam
division.
Darnold. No, with Sam Darnold, respectfully.
But Sam Darnold has won a
What?
Rose Bowl.
He's gagged it. He gagged it last year.
Rose
He
Bowl.
gagged the division. He literally gagged
where
the
you're going to
division.
go with that.
He had
Hey, if
nothing.
they're the best defense in football, number one, and their offensive line is awesome, and their run game is consistent, and what it looks like the first 2 weeks of the New Orleans Saints season last year, and that's throughout the entirety of the season, you can talk yourself into them being a serious threat. Number one defense, that's hard to do.
Until it's week 18 and Sam Darnold has to win the game.
And the lights are on. It's
Yep,
all eyes
lights
on
are
him.
bright. All eyes on him. Everybody's at the game. It's
It happened not in the Rose Bowl, but in the Pac-12 championship. And he let a
like
game
10
winning
years ago.
He has that clutch
Legitimately
gene.
like 8 years ago.
He's a clutch player. That's what
He
Sam
has that
Darnold.
clutch gene.
Yes.
He's
Sam
literally on
Darnold-
camera saying, "I'm seeing ghosts out there."
He-
We
he
can't
literally
forget that.
blew-
That's
he
on
blew
his
$30
resume.
million.
Quarterbacks say that all the time, but they never get caught on camera saying it.
He blew $30 million. Like, he lost money.
He
Gagging
still
it.
made a good amount of
I
money.
was going to say he still made some nice money.
He would have made 50 M's, brother.
He would have got 50 M's, bro.
Sam Darnold's unfortunate. Only the negatives are talked about him, but
He
the
would have never got
game-winning
traded, too.
throw against Seattle. No, they don't talk about those throws. They don't talk about the great throws that Sam made to lead the Vikings to some wins last year.
You know what they
only
say,
talk about the
Joel?
negative.
Winners write the history.
And he won 14
Amen,
games.
brother. Amen.
You're only as good
So,
as your
He
last,
did win
Joel.
14 games.
This next division we're gonna get into. I'm really a lot of options to choose from in the AFC. I feel like maybe let's start off slow. Let's start off with the AFC East. Bills
Get
won.
that shit out the way.
It does feel like Jets 4 here. I know Dallas might put them at 3 just because, but I
Those
do
might put
think
him at 2.
the Jets feel 4.
Who knows?
I think the argument here is
Up in that
really
one?
Patriots versus Dolphins. And I know that Drew has been very vocal and adamant about not seeing the Patriots
I
hype.
don't get it.
And I'm going to be vocal and adamant about not understanding how you can't see it.
Oh my God.
That's-
Here we go.
The Patriots hype, I think, is pretty apparent. They added Milton Williams. They added Carl Davis.
Their offensive
Opposite
line is kooky.
Christian Gonzalez. Their offensive line is a question mark, but they drafted Will Campbell. They signed Morgan Moses. I mean, the offensive line did get better. Stephon Diggs is at least a reliable receiver target, and I think Travion Henderson is going to be a star. I think
agree.
this is just a simple vibes reading of the situation. The Patriots feel like they're on the upward trajectory, and the Dolphins feel like they're on a downward trajectory. I know they have talent. I know the defensive line looks awesome, and Kenneth Grant looked great in the preseason. But that offensive line, I can argue, is even worse than New England. The secondary is even worse than New England. And I'm going with Drake May over Tua. I know Tua has done something. I just think he's a more talented quarterback, and he has a higher ceiling based on the plays that he can make out of structure and what he did in such a bad offensive infrastructure. You can argue the worst offensive infrastructure in the NFL last year. Drake May still played good football in that environment. And now he has Josh McDaniels, who he led a Mac Jones rookie-led offense to the playoffs. And you're telling me he can't do more with Drake May, who's so much better? I'm buying on the Patriots. I think it is more likely they make the playoffs than they finish third in this division.
Oh, what?
That's a strong take.
Bro,
the Patriots are going to be that good.
Yeah, listen. Obviously, we know who's number one. We don't got to talk too much about it. I will say, though, this is probably I was thinking about this the other day. This is arguably Josh Allen's worst team of like the last 4 or 5 years. When you look at just the secondary and then like how they have like nobody to throw the ball to for real, it's pretty bad. But still gonna finish one in the division because the division isn't that good. 2 and 3 is interesting because I don't know. For me, New England isn't. I'm not getting vibes from there. I'm definitely getting good progression for sure. I think Christian Gonzalez is one of the 5 best corners in football. I think Carlton Davis is a strong number 2. You have guys like Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, pardon me, solid secondary guys. And then you brought in Milton Williams. You know, how is he going to look now as being the number 1 guy team's game plan for? You got Christian Barmore. I think the offensive line has made steady progression, but I don't love that offense. I think it lacks explosiveness. I think it lacks any real juice outside of Travion Henderson, who I think you can rely on, you know, rookie running backs, especially recently. Like they usually produce pretty early, but just there's not a lot of explosiveness and there's not a lot of juice on that offense in terms of just the wide receiving room, the tight end room. You know, I know you said Stephon Diggs. He is coming off of, I think, ACL or Achilles. It was one of those.
ACL.
He is coming off the ACL injury. He is up there in age, 31, 32 years old. You know, they talked about it in training camp. He hasn't really been too explosive. He's done a lot of short intermediate. So for me, it feels like it's going to be a lot of dinking and dunking with this offense. With Miami, though, there's just you got Tyreek, you got Waddle. If Tua is healthy, New England. If Tua is healthy, they're going to be a pretty good offense. Miami's
Darren Waller's rapping in the locker room.
Stop. I don't even need to. Darren Waller, I'm good. It's just I think Waddle is due for a bounce back. I think he will have a bounce back this year. I think their pass rush is going to be really good. I don't love Miami's secondary. I'll say that, but I do think they have a really good front four. Offensive line, I think is a problem for either team. I do like New England's younger guys, but you got Tyreek, you got Jalen Waddle, you got Tua. I think the running game is going to be good as long as Tua is playing in Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon and stuff like that. I got Miami at 2, New England at 3. I can see the flip. I think both these teams aren't in a playoff team. I think the race for 2 is going to be really interesting. And then I got the Jets at 4.
Jets coming second, man.
Stop it.
In your dreams.
I don't have the Jets in second,
In your
though.
dreams.
I have the Bills in first place because the Buffalo Bills run this division.
You're
After
so
watching
upset
New
about
England run this division for 20 years. Feels like Buffalo is going to run this division for 20 years.
Yeah.
Second place, I think, is a bit of a toss-up between the Jets and New England. I think the Jets are going to be a scrappy team this year, man. I think they could fight and claw their way to 7 wins. But I think being in on New England to a healthy extent is correct, right? I don't think you have to expect them to win 10 games and be, this year's Houston Texans from a couple of years ago and they shock everybody. But they do feel like a team that is going to double their win total and go from the 3 or 4 wins last year to around 7 or 8 wins this season. The offensive line improvements, Joel, you mentioned Will Campbell, who's getting great reviews out of camp, Morgan Moses, who has dealt with injuries and a bit banged up, but an obvious upgrade, at least on the exterior of the offensive line. Interior could still use some work there. And then again, upgrade at weapons, right? Travion Henderson, Stephon Diggs. I know Demario Douglas isn't a name that we talk about much, but he has been a reliable receiver, and that was one of Drake May's favorite targets last year. And I think it's fair to be high on Drake May, which I don't think any of us are low. But when we're talking about Drake May versus Tua, I know Tua has all the counting stats and whatnot. But Drake May last year, again, like Joel mentioned, in a terrible system, was excellent. Like, I know the numbers, the raw numbers might not show that, of course, like just total touchdowns and total yards, but this was the guy that was the offense, right? Like, he was their number one rusher. He was, of course, their number one passer. And when he was pressured last year, he was one of the best quarterbacks in football, which is extremely impressive for a young quarterback. When you're looking at Drake May compared to other quarterbacks in terms of catchable ball rate when pressured, he was the 13th best quarterback in the NFL. Compared to the other rookies, Jaden Daniels was 24th, Bo Nix was 36th, Caleb Williams was 39th. When you talk about completion percentage over expectation, Drake May was the 6th best quarterback in the NFL when he was pressured last year. He was 5th in terms of highly accurate throw rate. He was excellent under pressure. And when you see that from a young quarterback, I think it's healthy to expect and project him to be a really strong upper echelon quarterback going forward. I don't know if it's going to have a breakout in year 2, but I feel confident in the New England Patriots getting Mike Vrabel, a defense that has some pieces there to be a competitive 7 or 8 win team. And then when it comes to 3rd and 4th place, I don't think the Jets or Dolphins are playoffs teams this year. When I look at Miami, I think you could be high on their pass rush. You should be high on their pass rush. I look at the secondary and I'm terrified. It's completely naked at this point outside of Micah Fitzpatrick, who is someone that's new, or I guess coming back to Miami. When I look at the offensive line, it's probably the worst in the division. It's one of the worst in football. And then just the vibes around the team, right? Tyreek Hill has been dealing with this oblique injury. He hasn't practiced in weeks. Devon Achane is healthy, quote unquote, for week 1, but dealing with a calf injury, which scares the shit out of me for someone as explosive as him. We know it could happen with some calf injuries. And then, of course, losing Teron Armstead, right? Like, this is a team that it's really going to be an uphill battle for them, I think, as the season progresses. I feel strong about them in September and October, as I always do with Miami. But when it comes to it, and they got to run the ball and they got to play big physical teams, I struggle looking at this Miami team and think they're going to be able to keep up. I look at them as like a 6-7 win team. I feel like the Jets are in the same boat.
I've got the Jets.
Go ahead, John. John,
I got the Jets in last. 3rd place and 2nd place, like you guys have kind of talked about, it's going to be very close. Earlier, a couple of weeks ago, before the Devon Achane news and some of the concerns with his health, I had the Dolphins at 2. But the further we get in the offseason, the more comfortable I get in the Patriots being a healthier team and finishing higher. And number 1 to me is going to be the Bills. But I think the biggest question is really just going to be what version of that, because I think the Bills is the biggest player here, obviously, goes that being said, Josh Allen. The biggest player here is going to be, what does Josh Allen get from that supporting cast? Who takes a step up this year? And that's what I'm most concerned with.
I look at this division and there's a lot of easy things to say. The Bills are going to be number 1. The Jets are going to be number 4. That's easy.
Freaking casual.
I think where we're having our issues, and I think that it's fine, because I look at this Pats defense and I think that it is going to be great. I think the addition of Carlton Davis opposite side of Christian Gonzalez is excellent. That's going to be one of the better secondaries. And quietly, Jabril Peppers was one of the better safeties in football last season, according to PFF, top 10 graded at his position. He was excellent. I will say, when I look at this Miami Dolphins secondary, I do have my issues. It's not good outside of Micah Fitzpatrick. There's a lot of unproven guys in that secondary. But that defensive line is going to be one of the best in the league so long as it is healthy. Bradley Chubb comes back. Jalen Phillips comes back. Chop Robinson's a star in the making. Kenneth Grant, a first-round pick this season. That's going to be their bread and butter this season, getting after the quarterback and stopping the run. That is really where I'm really invested. I didn't even mention Zach Seiler. I have to acknowledge him. That defensive line is one of the best in the game. Now, I look at the offensive line, and that's a huge question when I look at the left side, because you have a rookie that you drafted in the 2nd round, and Paul, who is going to be your starting left tackle after the retirement of Teron Armstead. If Teron Armstead were healthy, I would be like way too optimistic about this offensive line. Brewer was one of the highest graded centers at his position. James Daniel is a really strong run blocker, of course, coming off of injury. That's the question mark. But, of course, Austin Jackson and what he meant to the run game. Last season, they could not run the ball to save their life. in this preseason, we've seen Ollie Gordon run, and he's been excellent in what he's shown us in limited opportunity. We know what Achane provides as a receiving back, and of course, as a rusher, how explosive he is. The right side of this offensive line is going to be solid enough to protect to his blind side that I don't think that it'll be as huge of an issue as we think going in. The question becomes, what are we going to be getting out of our rookie left guard? I don't want to butcher his name, but I'm going to give it a go. Savalnia, second round pick. They took him with pick 37. It depending on what he gives you, and of course the health of a James Daniels, this offensive line can be good enough that the run game can come back to being an essential part to this offense. And if Miami's run game is back to what it is, let's not say it's at 100% where it's one of the best in the league, but let's say we're talking about not a bottom 5 unit, and now we're talking middle of the pack, but now you have Tyreek, you have Jalen Waddle, and they're getting going. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, which has been a slept-on addition. We're talking about a big play guy from Tennessee last season. He's their wide receiver 3. You get some consistency, God willing, that these guys are able to stay healthy. Talking about Tua Tagovailoa, I think that we're going to start to look at these questions outside of secondary, which is fair, that these issues are a little bit overblown. Because if Tyreek Hill's there week 1, we're not even thinking about it. We're thinking that they're good to go and they're ready to rock. If Achane's healthy and ready to go week 1, we're not concerned about it. The secondary will remain an issue, I think, throughout the entirety of the season. But I think that defensive line is going to impact games so much so that it's going to be reminiscent of that Raiders team that made it to the playoffs, basically because their defensive line was so dominant that it gave the secondary so much time to recover and not have to worry about coverage because they were so quick to getting to the quarterback. That's how good I think this Miami defensive line can be. But again, the secondary, there's no way around it. That's an issue. But when I look at the Patriots, I just don't think they're ready yet. That defense is going to be great, but that offensive line's not ready. I don't think that their weapons, we're really relying on Stephon Diggs coming off a torn ACL to be great. And that's asking a lot. And it's not a knock on Stephon, who I think has a chance to I don't know, maybe a Hall of Fame career he's kind of put at this point in time. We're talking about one of the premier receivers of our generation. It's just asking a lot of him coming off an ACL this late into his career. And Travion, who I believe in. But again, we're putting a lot of faith into a rookie and a 30-year-old wide receiver coming off a torn ACL. I think Drake May's great, but we're asking a lot out of him in this offense that's just limited right now.
It comes down to 3 things for me. The Patriots have a better head coach, they have a better quarterback, and they have a better defense.
A better head coach that got fired. He literally got fired.
Mike
McDaniels could be there in 1 year, brother. It's not saying
You
much.
told me he was better than Bill Belichick. You better watch it,
Hey,
pal.
he lasted longer than Bill
We're back.
Belichick.
You better watch it.
You
think that he was better than Bill. Relax.
Bill Belichick, he was garbage. I'm gonna be honest.
Bad. Did Bill Belichick get another head coaching job in the NFL?
I was gonna say
he's at North Carolina. He's at North Carolina.
Cole
right now.
Strange just got cut.
Yeah, Cole Strange is mid.
His first round pick. That was his first round guy.
Clearly worse than that now.
AFC West.
Here
Is
we go.
anybody dethroning the Chiefs?
Yes. It's the Denver Broncos. And you think I give a shit? I don't. I genuinely don't. Fuck Kansas City. We're coming for the chip. We're winning the division. We're going to be the best team in our division. And that run that Kansas City has had, it's been legendary. It's been one of the best that we've seen. It's over. It's the new kids on the block's time. The Broncos are taking it. We're going to have the best defense in the league. The best defense in the league, statistically, got better. We go and we add Talanoa Hufanga. We go and we add Dre Greenlaw. We go and we draft Jahdae Barron in the first round, who that's a TBD right now. But even still, the depth that we have at that position is insane. Jaquan McMillan, Riley Moss, Chris Abrams-Drain. We got depth. We don't have to worry about that. And this offense, that's where, if you have questions, the offense, it's fair to question because I think our same issues are that we had last season. We're trusting a young supporting cast of weapons to be great. Bo Nix already showed that he can overcome that in year 1 with worse weapons. Now we go and we bring in J.K. Dobbins. We draft R.J. Harvey. Pat Bryant comes into the equation. And Troy Franklin's my breakout player for the Broncos. I think him and Bo Nix are going to have an excellent season together. Cortland Sutton got paid, rightfully so. That excited me. But what I'm excited to see is the youth movement. Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, RJ Harvey. These guys really start to become focal points in this offense and really getting integrated and being main pieces in what we want to accomplish. That excites me. I love the J.K. Dobbins addition because now if RJ Harvey, he's kind of struggling with his vision, with kind of been in a little bit of an issue, J.K. Dobbins can come in, and I think the two of them together are going to thrive this season. God willing, J.K. Dobbins stays healthy. This could be a really strong tandem. RJ Harvey has a ton of explosiveness, but right now it's still a young player, and J.K. Dobbins has been proven, especially last season, with a solid offensive line, with just 2 great tackles. We saw how efficient and effective he can be when he's healthy. Now you put him behind maybe the best offensive line in football. I'm really excited to see what he does this season with our Broncos. The Broncos are going to be one of the best stories this season. I do firmly believe that. Maybe us winning the division can be far-fetched, but you know what? I'm willing to die on that hill with my boys. We're going to be one of the best teams, and we're taking it this season.
The
Yeah, that sounds
Talanoa
like a fan.
Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw additions were amazing. You add to the defense, and adding those 2 players specifically that have lost to Patrick Mahomes in the past will help out the locker room in preparing for when
Dre
they lose
Greenlaw
to
got
him
hurt.
again.
He was the difference. When Dre Greenlaw was on that field, they were winning. Can't forget that.
Hey,
Yeah, actually,
that's
they might
valid
win if
point.
he stays on.
That is a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
valid point. I think it was great news, the fact that Rashee Rice is only suspended for 6 games, and it's going to be the first 6 because it gives him more time. Hey, I was coping. And I was I'm looking at Rashee Rice, first 6 games. He now has
Say that shit.
he has a chance to come back healthier and come back for a lighter stretch for Kansas City of the schedule. The first 6 games for Kansas City is very tough. They face a lot of great opponents. And if they can survive that, I think worst case scenario, they go 3-3, but knowing Kansas City, it could very easily be 6-0 with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback.
Are they playing the Eagles?
They're playing the Eagles, they're playing the Lions, and they're playing the Ravens. They're playing the Ravens.
So silly,
as well.
bro. You're so silly.
Okay, we'll see about that. But I think Rashee Rice, second half of the year, having after the 6th game, I think that'll do wonders. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have an MVP level season. I think he's heard all the noise. He knows how bad of a loss that was. And last time he lost like this, he won a Super Bowl. So I think that the division is a given. Right now, I think that we expect them to win the division. It's 10 years running now, and we expect them to make it to the AFC Championship once again. That is just the expectation for Patrick Mahomes. The expectation is to do all these things.
Yo, Riv, let me ask you a question, bro. We care? Do we care?
You should care. This is greatness. This is greatness right here.
Him.
This is greatness right here. And I think the
And he
Broncos
got a new haircut.
are one of the most talented teams
Let me defend
in
it.
the
The
NFL.
haircut's clean.
Of course, it's
no,
clean.
we don't do that, Drew.
Everything he
Drew, we
does
don't
is
do that.
clean.
I gotta
Drew,
be
we don't
honest,
do
the
that.
haircut's good.
Joel,
It's
hop
good.
off.
Everything he
Drew,
does
we're gonna
is
lie here. We gotta
A1,
lie.
top notch.
All right,
I
haircut's
even started
dog shit.
putting ketchup on my rice because of Patrick Mahomes.
That's where I draw the line. And that's where I draw the line. That's a step too far. That's a step too. So you put ketchup on your steaks too.
If he does it, I'll do it.
So
If
if
he
he fucks
jumps
a
on the
man,
fridge,
you
are
fuck a man.
following him?
If he does it, I'll do it. Patrick
So if
Mahomes
he takes
gifted.
dick, you're taking dick. That's what you're telling me. No, be honest. Be honest.
Honestly, Rick,
He didn't
that's
answer.
an amazing
It's
question.
something to have to
I'm
take
so
into
glad.
consideration.
I'm so
Answer.
happy you asked that. Like, there's a part of me that thinks, did Riv take it too far? No, I actually don't think you did.
Because he didn't say no, that's too far. He just sat there and laughed.
It depends on the environment.
Wow.
It depends.
Explain your ideal environment.
What
in detail.
environment would require you to do
That's confidential information.
Explain.
The Chiefs are going to be number 1 again. Number 2, I got the Denver Broncos. Number 3, I got the LA Chargers. And number 4, I got the Las Vegas Raiders, who I just, my question for you guys, do you think is signed and sealed the Broncos are just the second best team in the division, or do you think the Chargers and the Raiders have a chance?
You just told me they're the second team in your division.
I think so. I'm asking the question.
Yes, it's signed and sealed.
I don't have the Chargers at 3. I got the Chargers at 4.
The Chargers are the most overrated team in the league. Tell them, Riv, please.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say all that, but losing Rashawn Slater for the year definitely hurts. Not too fond of the wide receiver room they have. I do like that they picked up Trey Harris in the draft. That's dope. I do think their running back room is going to be solid. Amarion Hampton, Najee Harris. Their defense, a little bit to be desired, because I think defensively last year they got hit with a pretty simple, easy schedule, and a lot of times when they play tough competition, that defense didn't show up like they should have. And, of course, in the secondary, they're a little bit naked. Even on the line, it feels like Khalil Mack is there, but they're waiting for a lot of young guys to kind of progress up. For me, 3, I'm going with the Raiders. I think the Raiders offense, like especially Geno Smith, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, and a Chip Kelly offense, it's going to be a lot of up-tempo pace, and I think Ashton Genty, they're going to have a lot of high-scoring games, and I think Geno gives you a safe floor that's steady. You know, he's good under pressure, or he's good with a clean pocket. I think he can make some big-time throws, and I think that's extremely important. I think that offense is going to be electric. You know, they're relying heavily on Max Crosby and a lot of young players to kind of help up that defense. But I think with Pete Carroll there, like I mentioned, Chip Kelly, who's coming off a championship with Ohio State, and he's usually a really good coordinator. I think he's going to be a good OC for them. Number 2 for me, I think I got Denver also. I think Denver is going to have a great year. I'm all in on Denver. I was all in on them last year. They made the playoffs. I think defensively they're going to be sound. They got the best corner in football. And I think with Jahdae Barron, Riley Moss now slotting to the 3, I think that fits more of his style. Solid safeties in Jones and whatnot. And they got a good defensive front 4. I think they're going to be elite. Their offensive line is there. They have one of the best offensive lines in football. A little bit to be desired with the wide receivers, but I think Bo Nix is really good. Sean Payton, one of the best coaches in football, them sitting at 2. And I'll be fucking honest, the Chiefs just get 1 because it's Chiefs tax. Like that's really it. It's just Chiefs tax. We've seen it before. We'll probably seen it again.
They fear us.
You talk about Mahomes MVP. He's heard all the noise. Oh my God, the guy who lost the Super Bowl, he just made it for the 4th time. Here's noise. Yeah, so much noise. Yeah, so the Chiefs are sitting at 1, but
they fear us.
I hope they finish 4. Like I'm praying to every god they finish 4.
If they finish in last place, name it, top comment, I'll do it.
I'd get naked.
There used to be a point in time
if they finish in last, I'll do it.
that Riv respected the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. I wonder where he
then
went.
You started getting naked for him, and I can't deal with it.
Start doing tricks on it like you were on Cirque du Soleil.
I've been doing it back then. I was doing it back then with Riv. I was doing it in front of his face.
It got worse. It got worse, man. It got bad. Like now
you
just
even stand on the Patrick Mahomes bit. Like that's insane.
Oh man! Unfortunately, the Chiefs.
Anybody else want to talk about the Broncos are going to be the best in the division? Anyone? Are you guys?
Unfortunately,
are you guys all?
Chiefs are going to win the division for the 10th.
The only thing that can hold back the Broncos is Bo Nix regressing. That's what's
smart. Smart. Get back.
That is the only thing that can hold. No, I'm saying
smart.
What else can go wrong for this team? What else would go wrong? That is the biggest wild card. That is the biggest wild card for the Broncos.
I'm screaming.
Agreed. That's
the weapons.
They're running backs.
Bo Nix, with worse weapons last season, was one of the most historic rookies of all time. I'm just saying, if you give me a slightly better, Bo Nix going to be fine. Trust.
Broncos are clearly Kansas City's biggest match in this division, and I had them comfortably as the 2. Third to me would be the Chargers. After the Slater injury, I feel like their ceiling is kind of a lot lower than what it was, say, in June and July. It's a huge bummer, but I still expect the Chargers to be a 9-10 win team. And I believe that the best 4th place finish of any team in the NFL this year could be the Las Vegas Raiders. With the amount of playmaking that they have on the offensive side, and then Geno Smith's a top half quarterback, the Raiders are going to be must watch, I think, a lot. I think their offense is going to be high powered, but on the flip side, it's Max Crosby and a lot of guys defensively. And that's why I feel like the Raiders may be a 6 or 7 win team, but overall, I love what Pete Carroll's going to inject in that core. And I think all 4 of these teams are on the up and up.
Yeah, I think, Drew, I want to be in with you, man. I want to be in with Denver. If it wasn't Kansas City, if it just wasn't Kansas City, if it was like 30 other teams, I would be like, you know what, I could see it.
Dells,
goddamn, I mean,
realistically, who cares? Who cares?
Dells, when are you going to take a chance? When are you going to take a chance, Dells?
When are you
going to take a chance?
I have the Jets coming in 3rd place. If that's not a fucking
that's your fandom. That shit don't count.
That shit don't count, man.
I just saw the Chiefs look like dog shit last year. Like legitimately one of the worst worst good teams I've ever seen, and they walked to 15 fucking wins. They just found 15 wins on the schedule.
They were ass last year.
They were terrible. They were
ass in the Super Bowl too.
And they won.
They were ass in
games.
the Super Bowl.
And they were still able to block a field goal for the win against Denver.
Think about it. The Broncos beat no 500 teams last season. That has to change. That has to change.
Enough to get 14 wins, because that's what it feels like has to happen.
If the Chiefs win 14, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Like, it feels like they're kind of a lock to win 14 games. It's just what they do every year.
They'll go under.
But anyway, I think the one place where the Chiefs have to improve and can improve is just this downfield passing attack. I mean, they have been putrid for the last couple of seasons. You know, after Tyreek Hill left, Mahomes was still great. 5,000 yards was excellent. Don't get me wrong. But these last 2 years, you could tell like the Chiefs have obviously been missing a downfield attack that they could threaten defenses with. I think drafting Xavier Worthy last year was a step in the right direction. But what we've seen so far in the preseason is what gets me most excited, that Mahomes has an ADOT over 11, which was I think number 1 or number 2 so far in the preseason.
Say his name.
And last year he was like 35th in ADOT, just really dinking and dunking his way down the field. So I'm hoping and kind of almost expecting them to get back to the offense we've seen in years past, where they can be this explosive offense. They don't have to just take 4 or 5, 6 yards, methodically get down the field, but they can have some explosive plays. So I think that's the one area where they can improve, at least on offense, because we know they're going to have an efficient offense as is. Second place would have Denver, and I'm with John. I feel pretty comfortable about Denver being in second place. What we saw from them last year is having the best defense in football and having an efficient offense with Bo Nix at the helm. I think Sean Payton is going to continue to make things really easy for Bo. Bo is going to continue to be able to hit plays down the field, as well as use his legs to extend drives and gain first downs. They improved in terms of weapons offensively. They didn't improve enough for me to like really think they're like Super Bowl level contenders. Like, if they went out and got a top 10 receiver, I feel like we could talk about Denver in really a different light.
Like Pat McLaurin.
But yeah, like, okay, I don't know about that. But like,
Tyreek
I don't know
Hill,
if Matt Bryant,
Bring
Evan
Tyreek
Ingram,
Hill.
J.K. Dobbins, and R.J. Harvey are enough for me to be like, wow, this team, holy shit, watch out for Denver's offense. They'll be a good unit, but I don't know if they're going to be dramatically better from last season. Chargers at 3, Raiders at 4. Again, the Raiders feel like a team that can win like 7-8 games and be spicy and be a team that's in the hunt. But you're just in the division with, you know, Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, Andy Reid, Sean Pitt, like
Pete
just
Carroll.
an absolute
Respect
dogfight of coaches. And yeah, Pete Carroll's great. He's the 4th best coach in
So,
the division.
Dels,
Like, he's great, but the 4th best coach.
You're telling me you're not looking at that offense and saying, watch out for Bo Nix?
I think Bo's gonna have a good year.
He's a Bo Nix fan. He told me himself he is a
I
fan.
think Bo's good.
But
No,
he's
no,
leading
I
the
literally
offense.
said, I am
just
a
don't
fan,
know.
right, Dels?
I am a fan of Bo Nix. I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think they've done enough to like seriously upgrade the offense.
I don't disagree
watch it.
wholeheartedly.
You got to watch out for Dells and quarterbacks. I'll just let you know that now, Drew. You have to watch out.
What's that mean?
'Cause his-
I'm a Lamar fan.
You're saying I don't want his stamp.
Outside of Lamar, he's hit or miss. He's very hit or miss. So you got to watch out for him, bro.
I got an
That's all
all-time
I'm saying.
great.
He's
It's
literally,
true.
it's
You
a
gotta
good
watch-
price to pay. You get your one all-timer.
That's all I need.
Garbage.
All I need.
Is Trey
Trash.
Lance really
I've
a
been trying to
miss?
find my Lamar 2.0 ever since. I got to get into pocket
have
passers, man. Maybe that's what I need.
Is Trey Lance really a miss?
It's not his
100%.
fault. He never got a chance. He never got a chance.
Doesn't matter.
It's
Really
also
doesn't
not
matter.
that one of his few hits he switched on.
Who?
Jalen
Hurts.
Hurts.
Oh, fuck that. I'm here. I was here when no one else believed. I'm always here.
No, you're not. You literally said he was a bottom 10 QB last
Last year, the first half of the season, he was not fucking good.
You're
he
done,
wasn't.
man.
Sometimes-
I
It's
don't
not
want to
good.
hear it.
Yo, sometimes you got to just be quiet or lie. You can't, like, you don't always got to, you know what I'm
I
saying?
respect
You gotta be
Dels.
quiet or lie.
I have
Just the
I have
truth.
too much faith in Jalen Hurts for him to play like shit and me just be like, oh, that's fine.
It is
got
fine. They
sometimes-
won a Super Bowl. It was
No,
it
yes,
was literally
He
fine.
was better
was
in the second half
literally
and he was
fine.
great in the Super Bowl. But for the first 10 weeks, Riv, I mean, you tell me, was that passing offense not fucking putrid?
Were they not injured?
It was definitely just making me sweat.
I mean,
Sometimes
they
it's making me
were banged
sweat.
up a bit, but
John, what do you respect about what Dallas is doing right now?
What I respect is that he's holding his guy to the highest standard possible. He's been here since day one on Jalen Hurts, and if
Thank
he
you.
has not met
you
that
an hour
standard that Dallas set, Dallas is going to be vocal about it. Then once Dallas was vocal, Jalen Hurts started to pick up his level of play. He played quite well, especially in the conference championship leading the Super Bowl. And now what do you know? Dallas
Thank you,
is
John.
showing the full story.
Thank you. John's talking. You guys should
he's
listen
making
up.
fun of you
John,
an hour
John,
ago.
he's almost there. Keep going. He's almost there.
There's more to this that I'm forgetting. Oh, yeah. Shout out Malcolm Koonce. That's what I wanted to say. He missed all of last season, but he's healthy now. So shout out Malcolm Koonce.
He's a good player.
The next division is going to be the AFC North. Feels like the 1-4 order is baked in, like these other divisions that we've covered.
1, 2, 3,
Ravens
4 is all
1,
baked in.
Browns at 4. Now, I think the real differentiator here is who's 2 and who's 3. And
John,
I'm going with the Bengals.
John,
You know
this is
who
where we're
Cincinnati-
locked in, baby.
Yeah, you and me.
Cincinnati
against
had
the
a
world.
fourth
Against the world. Give me the
Cincinnati-
Steelers.
They had a 4th place schedule last year and still didn't make the playoffs.
And look at
It
the
really makes
offseason
you
they
wonder.
had. They
It really makes you
re-signed
wonder.
Trey
Like,
Hendrickson. They re-signed T. Higgins. They
Like
extended
Dells,
Jamar
Dells.
Chase. They added Dalton
Washington had a
Risner.
4th place schedule. They made it. They
Yeah.
damn near win.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
Look at
Dalton
the
Risner
moves
is
they
their
had this
biggest- Dalton
offseason. They
Risner.
brought back the players
makes you
that
wonder.
helped them miss the playoffs.
Makes you wonder. That's all I'm saying. No, I got Pittsburgh 2, Cincinnati 3, Browns 4.
John's
I just don't
even
think.
shocked.
Well, I
John's
still
like,
don't
no
think you'll make the
way.
playoffs. Whoa,
Rip
whoa, whoa,
switched
whoa, whoa.
up. I'm not
John.
gonna comment past that.
No, John. You're not making the playoffs.
That doesn't make no
didn't-
sense.
Nothing switched up.
Riv,
You're not making the playoffs.
You said that you don't think the Steelers are going to go 500. That means that you think they're going to be a second place team in the AFC North at 8-9, and the Bengals are going to be what,
Bengals win
8-9 or
7
7-10?
Y'all know that.
How
ain't
doesn't that
happening.
make sense? I'm confused.
One of those
You
two
think the
teams
Bengals
going
are winning
above
7
500,
games?
and it's going to be
Where's
the
not make
Steelers that
sense?
go
Where's
above
the not make
500.
sense part? I'm confused. Where's the not make sense part?
It
At?
doesn't make sense the Bengals are going to win 7
The
games.
Bengals are going to win more than 7 games, Riv.
Maybe not. I don't like.
They won 8
Fuck,
last
we
year,
don't
am I
know.
right, Ribs?
Won
They ain't that
9.
great.
I think so. I think they won 8.
they
They
won
won
9,
8
my
last
bad.
year.
9.
8, 9.
They won
Okay,
9.
like,
They won
9 ain't far off from 8. 8 ain't far off from 7. So like,
He's
what
talking.
are we doing? The defense is horrible. Y'all were relying on a rookie to come play. That's how bad the defense is in Shamar Stewart.
Respect
And granted, look,
Shamar.
no, he's cool, but like, damn, if your defense down that bad, but you need him, like, it's that bad offensively. Offensively, that shit there. Nobody's denying that. That shit is there. Schedule is a little bit hard. Like, look, bro, y'all had a 4th place schedule last year, and you won 9 games.
But now
Like,
they're going to start hot
legitimately.
this year. Joe Burrow said he's gonna
They're playing the
play hot.
preseason.
He's gonna play fast. He played the
Listen.
preseason and he played really well in the preseason. He's not starting slow no more.
I mean, if he listen, if he does, he doesn't. But Baltimore, as long as Lamar is healthy, this team will be a 12+ winning team. Like, they'll win 12 games, 11 games, 13 games. They'll make the playoffs. 2 for me is Pittsburgh. 3 for me is Cincinnati. I just don't think that team's that good. Realistically, I don't have Pittsburgh winning 9 games either. So maybe they tie. It really doesn't matter to me. Both them teams aren't good. Both them teams aren't going to make the playoffs. And then 4, we know who it is. It's the Cleveland Browns. Unfortunate, but they're there.
It's your boys.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm out. Nick Chubb is gone, bro. I have nothing, no ties.
So does everybody else have the Steelers at number 2? Or
I do not.
I have the Bengals number 2.
I have the Bengals second place.
Dels, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what it is about you that really just bothers me. There's some
hates
things
as a
that you're
man.
willing to to gamble on, and I get it. You like to have fun in certain regards. The Bengals are more fun. Yeah, fine. The offense rocks. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, Chef's kiss, top 5 lock 'em. Offense.
Yo,
easy.
bro.
The defense
Drew, hold on.
sucks. Dels. Like, it's
Drew,
one of the
That's
worst
how the
units in the
Steelers'
league.
offense sucks.
How
Yo,
do we know
Drew.
that? We don't know
Because
that.
I
We
watched
literally-
Aaron Rodgers play
We
football.
literally
He
don't
sucks.
know if they're
He's
going to be
washed.
dog
He's
shit or
done.
not.
He's bad.
Drew.
You know what Rodgers said, Dels?
I'd love
My
to know.
worst seasons are career years with some quarterback.
Fuck!
That's what he
I
said.
just got mad again.
Whose career
Because
year was last year's? Fucking Justin Fields' career year? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
last
I
year.
No,
don't know
Russell
why.
Wilson played good football. That was their quarterback last year.
he did. John,
Played really good football.
John, I'm mad at you. And Drew, I'm mad at you because you two boneheads, your teams are the reason why bum-ass Cincinnati went 9-8. Because both of you two teams gagged it at the end of the year. John, specifically your team, lost it at the end of the year to them to give them 9-8. And then Drew, your team didn't give Bo Nix the ball at the end, which they would have been under 500. They won 9 games 2 years in a row. This team is ass shit. Like, you ever heard of ass shit?
Yeah, top 5 offense. That's not a word.
Ass shit, bro. Oh my
Not a
God,
word.
this
You
team
just made it up.
It's
Look.
like that's how bad they are.
I hate to break it to you. I can't go out there and play to beat the Bengals in Week 18. That being said, the Steelers last
You
year
needed
won
to,
10
John.
games, and they, at large, just completely shifted the wide receiver and quarterback positions, but they didn't get worse at those spots. And when I look at what the Steelers did last year, they had a lot of injuries, and I felt like, at large part, when I say a lot of injuries, Heisman missed 5 games, Watt was banged up at the end of the year. What they did was inject a ton to the cornerback room, and they lost Minka Fitzpatrick, which is noteworthy.
Got to retire.
Like they got better defensively.
Oh, just shut your mouth.
With the good news that Derek Harmon may only miss 2 to 3 games. He comes back before the bye week for that Week 4 matchup. And I look at the depth at that position, why Black looked fantastic. We got him on day 3. I think this defense is going to be potentially a top 5 unit if Terrell Austin doesn't play around. I don't know. We're going to see. And then I think the offense is going to be 20th in the NFL. And that, to me, is going to be good enough to win 9-10 games. As far as Cincinnati goes, I think we're going to see big things. They're going to have to score 30 points every week to win 10 games, it feels like. So for that, the Bengals in 3rd. Browns, I expect to be the 3rd worst team in football, in 4th. And then Baltimore, to me, is a team that I think is going to surprise some people. I do believe, even as a Steelers fan, that this is the year they might put it all together in the postseason, especially if Zay and Rashad Bateman are both healthy at wide receiver.
I actually want the Bengals to make the playoffs because I think if they make the playoffs, then Joe Burrow's going to win MVP. And that would mean Mahomes has an MVP, has 2, Lamar has 2, Allen has 1, and Burrow has 1. I like the diversification of those MVP awards.
You just said Mahomes is winning MVP.
He is.
Who's winning MVP, bro?
I said I want the Bengals to make the playoffs because if they do make the playoffs, I think Joe Burrow will win an MVP. I think he will.
Tough titties, brother.
If Joe Burrow leads that team to the playoffs, he's gonna win MVP for sure.
I'll be happy.
9 wins, 8 wins.
I'll be happy. If he wins MVP, I'll genuinely be happy.
9-win MVP, I will also throw up.
He is the remaining of the elite quarterbacks without an MVP.
He needs one bad.
I mean, you told me that Jaden Daniels was better than him. Jaden Daniels didn't have MVP.
Jaden Daniels had a 4-play schedule, and he won 12 games.
And playoff game.
Joel,
multiple.
Don't make me expose your, what is it? What was it? Criteria, your QB criteria.
Oh, yeah.
Said Jaden Daniels was better, pal.
Yeah, I changed it.
Stay true to the criteria.
I changed it. Sometimes you have to go back.
Change the grading scale.
Change your hypothesis. if something in the scientific research is not going according to plan, he's like, okay, maybe I need to change around my thing a little bit. AFC South. This also feels like, well, I mean, 3 and 4, I think is Titans, Colts, whatever order. Probably Colts 3 because they have a more talented roster than the Titans. But if Cam Ward's really good, maybe that could propel them up to 3. This is really Jaguars or Texans. That's what this division is about. Jags or Texans.
I'm taking the Jags. Jags win the division. I'm tired of these damn Texans disrespecting our guy CJ Stroud, Riv. I'm tired of the Texans giving him some of the worst offensive lines we've ever seen, trading away his only good offensive lineman, giving him no damn running backs, giving him no wide receiver too, and just expecting CJ Stroud to go out there and do fucking everything. I'm tired of it. And you know what? Sometimes you got to take 1 step back to take 2 or 3 steps forward. The Texans need to be bad. They need to suck. They need to win 7 or 8 games and miss the playoffs to realize we are not doing enough for our franchise top 10 quarterback. We know we have the elite defense, but we need to give CJ Stroud some confidence and some help because last year, I didn't like the sophomore slump. What I saw from CJ Stroud rookie year was an MVP level quarterback. And last year was a step in the wrong direction. I think under Liam Cohen, with this offense, Travis Hunter, BTJ, a couple running backs that complement each other well, I think this could be a top 10 offense in football, an offense that surprises some people, an offense that could win a really winnable division. If you think the Texans are going to win it, that's fine. That's cool. It's going to be back on a top 3 defense and an offense that has to scrap and claw its way to 17 points because they're not going to be able to protect CJ Stroud. They're not going to be able to run the ball. I have a hard time looking at the Texans offense and being like, this is going to be anything better than like the 20th rated offense, not because of Stroud, but it's because of everything around him.
Is anybody else picking the Jaguars, man?
No.
I'll say this. I don't hate the opinion. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I say I don't love it for the sole fact that I think the Texans have one of the best defenses in football, and that was evident down the stretch last season where they put up 2 stellar performances against the Chargers and the Chiefs, giving the Chiefs a legitimate game in that second round, but nevertheless falling short. That defense is amazing, and I look at that unit, and they can have a seat at the table for best defense in the league. They have a legitimate stud, and it seems at every level. I just look at this offense, and what obviously holds me back is the same thing that holds everyone back from saying like they're outright one of the best teams in the league, period. And it's that fact that offensive line is held together by flaws. It's sad. I do understand what Dells is saying, though. I think that this offense for the Jaguars should be the best that Trevor Lawrence has had in his time as a starting quarterback in the league. Brian Thomas Jr. is a legitimate star already. Travis Hunter can be the next superstar of this league if he is the two-way guy that we think that he can be. The defensive line is going to be one of the more impressive. It's just a matter of that secondary. Can it stay healthy? This offensive line for the Jaguars isn't great, but with Liam Cohen, we didn't think that the Buccaneers' offensive line was great, and then suddenly we're talking about one of the more respected units in the league, and Tank Bigsby is a favorite of ours. Travis Etienne may not be a favorite of ours, but we saw what he was able to do for Rachaad White's career last season. I think that this duo can be a dangerous tandem if they are able to stay healthy in Liam Cohen's scheme. I really like the Jaguars this season. I just like the Texans a little bit more. I can see the Jaguars being a 9-win team. It's just a matter of them staying healthy and how efficient is that ground game going to be? How good is that offensive line going to hold up? But I think the Texans defense gives them such a safe floor that I'll have the Texans at the top spot at 1. I'll go Jaguars 2, Colts 3, Titans 4.
I feel like the Jaguars have a really good chance to compete for this division because I do think the Texans defense gives you a high floor. I think that I'm projecting the Jaguars offense to give you a very high floor. And then it's basically between the Texans offense or the Jaguars defense. What do you really trust a little bit more? And I trust the Texans offense more. I think Nick Caley is going to be much better than Bobby Slowick. I like that CJ Stroud now has command at the line. But the Jaguars feel like one of those surprise teams that and nobody's expecting it, but they did make a lot of moves this offseason. And I love the direction that the general manager is heading in with this franchise. I think he's a young, bright mind coming from the Rams organization. And then Liam Cohen, what he did in his first year as an OC. And Trevor Lawrence, like we have to remember, CJ Stroud was the second overall pick. Trevor Lawrence was the first. Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be that guy. And Trevor Lawrence, this is the year that he has to prove it. I don't care what no betting line odd makers say. I think that Trevor Lawrence, in order for him to prove the NFL world wrong and to start believing in him again as a true franchise quarterback, he needs to lead the Jaguars to the playoffs this year.
Dells.
What up?
The only issue I have with the conversation surrounding the Jaguars and the Texans, the only issue is I feel like there's super high optimism on the Jags offensive system, but there's not enough optimism on the Texans. And what I mean by that is both offensive lines are equally terrible. Last year, I'd say both offensive lines were in the gutter in terms of pass block win rate and run block win rate. You know, the Texans were like definitely worse, but the Jaguars was bottom 10 in both. Both offenses have really good wide receivers, Brian Thomas Jr., Nico Collins. I think Travis Etienne, Joe Mixon, if you want to slice it, I feel like they're in the same tier for real, honestly. But
Mixon
whatever.
might not play
Both
this
of them,
year.
yeah,
Like,
he might not.
We don't know if he's playing football.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. I just found that out the other day. So now you have to
Can we
rely on
pray?
Nick Chubb. Defensively, I think the floor that the Texans have given you is 10 wins. I think they've given you the floor defensively, but the offense are struggling. You can get them, they can get you to 10 wins. That can be the division. I think there's a lot of promise for this offense coming in. You drafted 2 new wide receivers, so they give you some fresh, young, energetic guys with juice in Noel and Higgins. You bring in Christian Kirk, who's steady. You have Nico Collins. This is a team that missed all 3 of their wide receivers simultaneously throughout the year. This is a team that Laramie Tunsil was their best left tackle, but he was a guy that wasn't the greatest last year. Offensive line was definitely in the mud. They couldn't run the ball. And their offensive play caller was just awful last year. They brought in the guy, Caley. I think he's from the Rams, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, he's going to come in. I love what the Rams run. So if he can – and then C.J. Stroud has main responsibilities pre-snap post, and I think that's really important. If you're telling me Trevor Lawrence is going to have a bounce-back year, I don't hate it. I actually think the Jaguars are going to be a 7-8 win team. Just love what Houston's doing a little bit more. I love the youth movement that they have. I think if their offense is slightly better than last year, this is a team that can win 11, 12 games. So I have the Texans at number 1. I do have the Jags at number 2, though. I think they'll be in the hunt throughout the year, especially late in the season. Number 3, I'm going to take a leap. I'm going to go with the Titans. I think Cam Ward is going to have a really good year. I think something's brewing over there in Tennessee in terms of just the moxie he brings, the attitude, and the type of work ethic over there. I think Tennessee is going to be one of those scrappy, sneaky teams that's in a lot of their games, but just they lack talent right now, and I think that's okay. And then the 4th is going to be Indianapolis. They can't even figure out who their quarterback is for real. So that's my list, man.
My order is similar, and I think that's going to do it for all the division predictions that we have.
No, you want to bet? You didn't answer me, bro. Bet
what?
Jags and Texans.
I think the Texans are going to finish with a better record.
Okay.
But I do have an important announcement to make. It involves my girlfriend, my lovely, beautiful girlfriend, Jess. We were talking about it, and I think it's time to take the next step in our relationship. And we have this bond that is we are loyal to each other. That's our biggest loyalty. And we have decided to combine that loyalty and put it elsewhere as well. So we have decided that we are going to be Green Bay Packers fans from this point moving forward. And we're going to take our loyalty and we're going to transfer it into the sports environment, into the sports world. After the Micah Parsons trade broke, it just felt like it was time to take that next step and to be more serious about things. And her stepfather's from Wisconsin. He's a Packers fan. He's always been from. What do you mean? He's always been from Wisconsin. Since when?
He's never spoken about
you disgusting.
Yes, this shirt, Jess's mom actually bought for me for Christmas because I love Jordan Love. And the other day I tried Wisconsin cheese for the first time. It was delicious. And after thinking about it, we said, you know what? Let's do it. Forget the Cardinals. I love the Jets. Always root for them. There's nothing to root for right now. Go Packers.
You done?
This is embarrassing. This is disgusting.
Thanks for stamping the Jets winning 10 games this year.
Go Packers, baby. Go, man, go.
Yo, when Green Bay loses in the second round, I'm gonna laugh like for the whole summer.
Yeah, that would be great. Second round is a step forward.
They were in the second round 2 years ago.
I was just about to say that.
I want to apologize to you, man. I'm sorry, bro. I don't know if you deserve this, man.
Oh,
he left you.
You got to be there when the going's tough. You know
what I mean? For sure. You have.
Like I know it's been 15 years of tough.
I was there. What's
another 15?
I was there. Like... 3 years of Jordan Love 15, getting told that he's ass. I was there. Jordan Love's trash. He's not good. Sam Howard, Justin Fields. I was there. When the times were tough, Dells. But now we up.
Green Bay fan with a Chiefs jersey behind him.
Oh no,
Green Bay fan.
It's the goal. Gotta respect
Mahomes jersey in the background.
Gotta respect
Bengals
fan at heart.
Bengals can't forget them.
I can't forget my roots. I can't forget my origins. Darrelle Revis, shout out to John for getting me this Darrelle Revis Sound Football. I can never forget my origins. I got a Mark Sanchez action figure attached to the wall. You always have to remember your humble beginnings. But Dell, sometimes it's time to leave a toxic relationship. And it's time to go explore something new. Micah Parsons, baby. He's here.
Micah Parsons.
Come on.
Dels, there's gonna be a day, and I'm gonna hate the day, but there's gonna be a day when the Jets are good, and when they make the playoffs, and when they do, don't let him back.
Hopefully.
Like, don't let him back. Don't be.
Joel, I
cool
don't know
him.
why you can't just like have a favorite quarterback or another team. Like, why do you just have to uproot everything and be like no one's stopping you from just rooting for the Packers and like in the background's like it's still the Jets, but why do you have to come out and just make this clear?
Because I thought about it and I was talking to Jess about it in the car and I said, this is perfect. I said, like, it actually makes perfect sense that we're so loyal to each other to a fault. We have to extend that to our sports fandom as well. And if there's one team that we're going to pick, we're fucking Packers fans, baby. Let's go. That's what we're going to be. You know, so she said, you know, that makes a lot of sense. And I said, yeah, forget Arizona. You don't need them. You don't need that. I said, the Jets, you know, I love them. And I said, it's not even that far off because if you think about it, you know, the Jets are green, the Packers are green. Wow. So it's kind of the same. They're kind of the same. Really. And the connection with, you know, we get their quarterbacks after they're past their prime. There's actually a very transactional, consistent relationship with these franchises that I think is very meaningful.
Joel, Jess, she Latina, right?
Yes.
If you cheated on another Latina, it'd be like, babe, it was basically you. You think
no,
that was wrong?
No. You're going too far now, Dels. No, okay, of course not.
Just
of
wondering.
course
It's
not.
basically the same colors.
Of course
you know
not.
I mean? Like,
I don't even know if the Packers
same
play
colors
the Jets
is
this year.
hilarious, Joel.
Same colors is trying me, bro.
I was talking about the football teams. Relax.
So I said, you know what? Listen, you know, it's been a lot of, but don't worry, Dels. We draft the quarterback. I'll be here. If Arch Manning comes, for sure. You know, maybe DJ Lagway. That's your guy.
Back.
I like DJ Lagway a lot. You know, let's just get a quarterback in place, man. Let's do it, man. Please.
Wait, so I'm unsure what's happening. Are you dropping the Jets?
We have no idea what's going on.
The Packers will be my number one fandom for the 2025 NFL season.
Are you now a Packers fan?
Not
yes,
Mahomes?
I am
Are
a Packers
you no
fan.
Number one?
I describe myself as a Packers fan. That's
Are you
how
a
I
Jets
describe
fan
myself.
still?
I root for the Jets. I will always be a fan of them.
He's not answering the question.
Are you a Jets fan?
Yes, I am a fan. I am a fanatic now of the Packers.
Wow. He dropped the Jets, bro. He
fanatic.
Dropped the Jets.
Micah Parsons.
You know, Dels, this is your opportunity right here to drop the Jets and come to Philly.
No.
Right here.
I'm never dropping the Jets.
Hey, you know what? That's really you. You thorough.
You got to be there when times are tough, unless or else it doesn't feel good.
Dels, I'll never slander you again, bro.
I can't say that.
What am I? I'm not a man if I drop the fucking Jets.
No. I'm not saying that you would or you wouldn't. You know, that's. I can't believe that. Maybe I should believe this.
I agree.
Shout out to all the Jets fans out there.
I never do this shit.
It's been a lot of hard times. I'm sure there'll be good times somewhere in the future. Maybe not near, but somewhere in the future.
Somewhere.
And yeah. That does it for my special announcement.
Hey, pick a side me. Make sure you clip this and post it
to take
everywhere.
the next step in our relationship, baby.
Here I'm thinking, oh, this is sweet, nice. He's announcing Jess and him engaged.
I thought that was what
maybe
it was.
They're having a baby out of wedlock. Who knows? That would have been cool. No, Packers fans in unison together
all year long. Yeah. She said, as long as you get me a shirt. I said, I got one in the cart already. And I said, okay.
You're disgusting.
This is sick, man.
You're disgusting.
Thank you to everybody that made it this far to listen to the announcement. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And to all the fellas here, to John who came and then had to leave because his camera kind of froze.
He didn't even say bye.
No, because I think his internet might have just cut out. But thank you guys for watching episode 505, NFL Sanders predictions, and a surprising Micah Parsons trade to the Green Bay Packers. I know Riv doesn't want to admit it, but I know he's a little bit fearful of what's to come.
Joel, I swear to God, like I really felt nothing. Like I thought, like, all right, good move. Like it's gonna be bro. Yeah, I scored 10 points. Like I'm good, bro. I don't feel
all
like
right.
I scored 10 points. Bro. Like, okay, bro, yeah, I scored less than the Panthers. Like, do you not get that, bro? Like the Panthers scored more than you guys. Bro.
Like Joel, you're not even going all in on Mahomes or Burrow. Like Jordan Love,
He can't go. He can't go in on the Bengals, bro. I promise you, he
Packers.
can't do that.
Packers.
All right.
Packers. Go Pack Go, baby. All right. Thank you guys for watching. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick Us Up Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick Us Up Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Next episode, it probably will be in the brand new studio. Stay tuned for that. Also, make sure to go check out Splash Sports and enter one of the paid contests for a chance to win a copy of NBA 2K26. We are giving 5 away, so there is a higher chance you can win one. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.